Craig Hodges' wife tried to light him on fire. Back in December of 1991, Craig Hodges had just dropped off his 2 sons outside a school in Northbrook, Illinois. Pretty routine morning until it completely wasn't. As he stepped out of his car, his estranged wife Carlita was suddenly right there, and not with a clipboard or divorce paper. She allegedly came equipped with gasoline. Yeah, gasoline. Reports say she sprayed or poured it all over Craig, and possibly the car too. Then she tossed not 1, but 2 lit matches at him. The first one flew toward him and fizzled out. The second did the same. Total chaos, but nothing actually ignited. Thankfully, Craig moved fast. He dodged the matches and avoided getting turned into a headline for all the worst reasons. Carlita wasn't done though. Before taking off, she snatched Craig's car keys and sped away in her own vehicle. It felt more like a scene from a crime show than real life. Police caught up with her and arrested her. She got charged with assault, using a deadly weapon, and attempted arson. Then she was out the next day after posting a $100,000 bond. Craig didn't suffer any injuries, which is honestly wild, considering what went down. The reported motive? Apparently she wanted his attention or was overwhelmed by the separation drama. All this happened 6 months after Craig had won an NBA championship with Chicago. Yeah, the man went from a parade to ducking flames outside a school. Nothing about this was normal. Shannon Brown shot at home buyers. On May 2nd, 2020, Shannon Brown was at his home in Tyrone, Georgia. It had a for sale sign out front, and both the gate and the door were reportedly wide open. Late that afternoon, a man and woman who were touring homes saw the sign and figured they'd check the place out. They said they announced themselves while walking in, like any cautious strangers might, and even claimed they heard someone inside say they could come in. Upstairs, they ran into Brown. He was 34 at the time and clearly not in the mood for unexpected visitors. He showed up holding a rifle. According to reports, he detained them for a bit and then let them go. Sounds tense, right? Well, as they were leaving, things escalated. Brown allegedly fired 5 or 6 shots in their direction. Nobody got hurt, but it definitely wasn't the goodbye they expected. Police showed up and found 1 shell casing at the scene. That was enough. Brown got arrested and charged with aggravated assault. He posted bond and was out by May 4th. His side of the story? He thought they were intruders. Said he believed they were breaking into the place. The couple insisted they said they were there to look at the house and that he even told them to come in. Brown had been out of the NBA by then, but was still active in the Big 3 League. His career had started back in 2006 with stops across 9 teams and 2 championship rings with the Lakers. But on that spring day in Georgia, none of that mattered. That day was about a misunderstanding, a gun, and a whole lot of confusion. John Wall slipped walking to the shower and tore his Achilles. On January 29, 2019, John Wall was just at home trying to shower. Nothing wild, nothing dramatic, until it turned into a disaster. He was 1 month removed from season-ending surgery on his left heel and in the middle of a procedure to treat an infection in the incision. While heading toward the shower, he slipped. That fall ruptured his left Achilles tendon, just like that. He wasn't even wearing his walking boot at the time, which was actually allowed when he was home. According to the team doctor, he didn't hear any dramatic popping sound. The pain just crept in and wouldn't back off. Later, when doctors looked closer, they confirmed the tendon was either partially or fully ruptured. That meant more surgery. That also meant way more time off the court. He ended up missing the rest of the 2018 to 2019 season and then the entire 2019 to 2020 season. Rehab for an Achilles like that was expected to take anywhere between 11 to 15 months. This wasn't just a normal injury. It piled onto the heel surgery, the infection, and everything else going wrong that year. It turned into the worst physical setback of his career. At the time, Wall was still a 5-time All-Star. He was entering the final year of a $170 million contract. The timing could not have been worse. It's one thing to go down during a game, it's another to wipe out at home on the way to clean off. That fall put his entire comeback timeline in jeopardy and left the Wizards scrambling. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Denver Nuggets hired a witch to curse a player. Back in the 1975 Western Division Finals, the Denver Nuggets and Indiana Pacers were locked in a tight 7-game series. Pacers won it 4-3, but somehow that's not even the wildest part. According to longtime ABA fans and some particularly spicy stories floating around online, the Nuggets supposedly brought in a witch. Yes, a witch. They called her Rabada, the Wicked Witch of the West. The idea? To jinx George McGinnis, Indiana's star player. It's exactly the kind of thing that sounds made up by a bored intern, except the legend's been passed around enough times, it's taken on a life of its own. Problem is, there's no proof. Not one newspaper from that time mentioned Rabada. No players from either team have confirmed it. No TV footage, no press release. Not even a grainy photo of some caped figure waving incense at midcourt. Nothing. Most of what we know, or think we know, comes from fan forums, retro blogs, and stories that start with "I heard." That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but there's a difference between a fun memory and something you can actually verify. The Nuggets losing that series probably didn't have much to do with paranormal interference. Still, fans love this story because it fits right in with the ABA's chaotic, anything-goes reputation. Robata may not have gotten a stat line, but she definitely lives rent-free in the folklore. Ray Allen said he got catfished by a man pretending to be women. In November of 2017, Ray Allen found himself in a Florida courtroom filing an emergency motion to dismiss a stalking claim against him. The accuser, a man named Bryant Coleman, but Allen flipped the script, saying he was the actual victim. According to Allen, Coleman wasn't just some random guy. He allegedly ran a whole catfishing operation, using multiple fake female profiles to trick Allen into online conversations. Allen said he believed he was talking to women. Turns out it was just Coleman behind the screen the entire time. Things didn't end with fake flirty chats. Allen claimed Coleman started posting about his family on social media, tagging himself at Allen's wife's restaurant in Orlando, and trying to stir things up in real life. Even worse, Coleman allegedly threatened to leak private conversations unless Allen gave him something in return. Allen wasn't having it. He took it to court, asking for protection against cyberstalking and extortion. Coleman fired back, saying Allen had actually stalked him, threatened him, and even sent armed people to intimidate him. One filing even accused Allen of wanting to kill him. Media coverage exploded. ESPN, CBS News, Bleacher Report, all the big outlets ran the story. Coleman's wilder claims made headlines, but there was zero hard proof backing them. What made this whole thing so strange was that the supposed stalker turned around and claimed he was being stalked. It was like a legal funhouse mirror with no clear villain, just a tangled mess of fake accounts, threats, and finger-pointing in a courtroom where nobody looked good. Adam Morrison refused to shower during the NBA season. During the 2008 to 2009 season, Adam Morrison played for the Charlotte Bobcats. That's when teammate Jared Dudley dropped one of the most ridiculous NBA hygiene stories ever. According to Dudley, Morrison never showered. Not occasionally, not after long flights. Just never. Dudley told media that Morrison ran with a strict wardrobe policy too. Only 3 polo shirts for the entire season. Same ones, just on loop. And to top it all off, he constantly chewed tobacco and spit wherever he wanted. Dudley straight up called him the most disgusting teammate he ever had. Things got so bad, apparently, that Gerald Wallace had to physically force Morrison into the shower one day. That's not a euphemism. Wallace allegedly had to put hands on another grown man just to make him touch soap and water. This was all said during Media Day and backed by multiple outlets like Bleacher Report and The Washington Post. The quotes stayed consistent. The story snowballed into legend, and no surprise, it checks every box for a viral sports tale. Bizarre, petty, weirdly gross, and impossible to fully forget. But there's a catch. Morrison never confirmed or denied it. No interview, no statement, nothing. So it all rests on Dudley's word. That makes it a one-sided tale, not a confirmed fact. Still, it's been repeated so many times that it became part of Morrison's NBA legacy. Whether it was just a joke gone too far or a very real hygiene rebellion, the story's out there. And if true, it's the kind of thing that makes you wonder what else those locker rooms have seen. An earthquake stopped a game. On July 5th, 2019, the Knicks were playing the Pelicans in a Summer League game at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas. Everything was business as usual until the entire arena started swaying. A magnitude 7.1 earthquake had just hit near Ridgecrest, California, about 150 miles away. There were 7 minutes and 53 seconds left in the fourth quarter when the floor started moving. That would have been enough, but the real problem was the overhead scoreboard. It was swinging like it wanted out. Officials immediately stopped the game around 8:20 that night. New Orleans was up 80-74 when play was halted. That score ended up being final. The Pelicans got the win, and the rest of the night got weird. Another game between the Suns and Nuggets was canceled, while one next door at the Cox Pavilion kept going because it didn't have a scoreboard dangling from the ceiling. Zion Williamson had scored 11 points in just 9 minutes before sitting with a knee bruise. RJ Barrett, who had 10, later said he didn't even feel the quake. Frank Jackson was the scoring leader with 30 points. He said it felt like someone was pushing his hip before the shaking took over. Security moved fans out as a precaution. The arena's quick response probably kept things calm. Some fans panicked. Others just stood around wondering how long they were supposed to wait. It was one of the only times a natural disaster stopped an NBA game in progress. A scoreboard swinging mid-game isn't something you train for. But Vegas got its own weird summer league story that night. Hibbert coin. Back in May of 2014, Chinese NBA fans on a forum called Hoopu came up with one of the most ridiculous and creative forms of basketball slander ever, the Hibbert coin. It wasn't a crypto, it wasn't on any blockchain, it was just a unit of shame. It started after Roy Hibbert's performance took a serious dive late that season. One Hoopu user joked that a player like Omer Asik should be worth 5 Hibberts. Someone else said the Pacers' entire value added up to 46 Hibberts. The forum ran with it. Soon enough, Hibbert coin was a full meme economy. The coin had a 0 inflation rate because, as the joke went, its value never moved. Post described it as the site's official currency. Even Baidupedia had an entry. All of it was satire, but the commitment was wild. The meme didn't stay local. Someone brought it to Reddit's NBA page with a post titled, "Greetings from China," and introduced the West to this beautiful nonsense. Fans on Real GM jumped in too, with mock conversion rates and investment advice that sounded like a finance cult for NBA trolls. The whole thing was built around the idea that Hibbert's value as a player had cratered so badly, he became his own form of deflationary currency. No one believed it was real money, obviously, but it somehow became one of the most memorable basketball memes of that era. It was a joke that ran global. Proof that when a player slumps hard enough, the internet will turn it into an entire economy. The Hibbert coin market never cracked because it never rose. Michael Jordan and Antoine Walker played spades for 36 hours straight. According to Walker, he and Michael Jordan once teamed up for a high-stakes spades game that lasted 36 straight hours. No breaks, no sleep, just cards, cash, and an insane amount of pride. The setting? A restaurant. The buy-in? $20,000 per person. They were facing off against 2 other guys, and it didn't take long before things got brutal. At one point, Walker and Jordan were down $900,000. That's not a typo. $900,000. Walker said he came in with $100,000. Jordan brought $200,000. And when things got dicey, he had another $500,000 delivered by his nephew, cash, to the restaurant, mid-game. They didn't quit. Over the course of a day and a half, they fought their way back from the hole and ended the session only about $20,000 down. It wasn't a win technically, but considering they were nearly $1 million in the red, it was a pretty ridiculous comeback. Walker claimed Jordan was so wiped out, near the end, he was falling asleep at the table. And the timing? This all supposedly went down right before Jordan's press conference in 1995, where he announced his return to the Bulls. Walker even said Jordan pushed the event back so they could finish the game. There's no video, no receipts, no photos, just Walker's word. But the stories made the rounds on podcasts, CBS Sports, and Sports Illustrated, and no one involved has denied it. A bag of chips helped Morant get discovered. In 2017, Murray State assistant coach James Cain was out scouting a player named Tevin Brown at a low-key basketball showcase in Kentucky. Midway through the day, Cain got hungry and decided to grab a bag of Doritos. On the way back from the concession stand, he wandered past a side gym, just a casual detour. Inside that auxiliary gym, a 17-year-old Morant was lighting it up in a scrimmage. No fanfare, no headlines, just Morant being Morant. Explosive dunks, crazy passes, elite athleticism. Cain stopped in his tracks. He wasn't even supposed to see Morant play that day, but the Chips detour changed everything. Cain immediately knew he'd stumbled onto something big. Morant wasn't ranked nationally, wasn't on draft boards, wasn't getting major offers, but Cain saw the future and offered him a scholarship to Murray State soon after. From there, Morant's rise was ridiculous. At Murray State, he averaged nearly 25 points and 10 assists in his sophomore year. He even recorded a triple-double in the NCAA tournament. The hype skyrocketed, and by the time the 2019 NBA draft rolled around, Morant went number 2 overall to Memphis. That random snack run ended up being the moment that launched one of the most electric careers in recent memory. If Cain hadn't grabbed those Doritos, there's a real chance Morant stays buried in obscurity. No scholarship, no March Madness dominance, no Grizzlies rebuild. So yeah, one bag of chips turned into a franchise-changing discovery. Timing, luck, and a little hunger made all the difference. Butch Carter sued Marcus Camby for calling him a liar. On April 21st, 2000, Raptors coach Butch Carter filed a $5 million defamation lawsuit against former Toronto player Marcus Camby. The suit went to New York Supreme Court in Westchester County and accused Camby of damaging Carter's reputation. The issue? Camby told the New York Daily News that Carter was a liar, claiming no one trusted him or wanted to play for him. He also said Carter promised the Raptors would build around Camby, then traded him days later. That quote didn't land quietly. Carter responded by heading straight to court, right in the middle of the Raptors' first-round playoff matchup against the Knicks. Deputy Commissioner Russ Granick said the lawsuit was unprecedented and highly inappropriate. Other players flat out laughed at it. Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy thought it was just psychological gamesmanship. Then came the twist. One day, before it even had a chance to go anywhere, Carter dropped the whole thing. On April 20th, he announced the lawsuit was off. He said he'd hoped for an apology from Camby, but since that wasn't happening, he admitted the whole thing was a mistake. Bringing the courthouse into the locker room was not the best way to address this, he said. The fallout didn't help the Raptors. They were swept by the Knicks in that series, and Carter was fired 2 months later. Whether it was strategy, frustration, or self-promotion tied to his autobiography, the lawsuit became a lasting part of Carter's strange exit from coaching. It remains one of the few times an NBA coach sued a player, and probably the only time it backfired in under 24 hours. Jaden McDaniels broke his hand, punching a wall. On April 9th, 2023, in the Timberwolves' final regular season game against the Pelicans, Jaden McDaniels let his frustration get the best of him. Late in the first quarter, after picking up his second foul, he stormed off toward the tunnel and punched a concrete wall. Not padding, not drywall, concrete. Cameras later caught him holding his right hand on the bench. He iced it, looked miserable, and didn't return for the rest of the game. After x-rays, the news got worse. He'd fractured the third and fourth metacarpals in that hand. That was it. Season over. Minnesota actually won that game, 113-108, locking in the 8th seed in the Western Conference. But even with that win, the team walked into the play-in round missing a top-tier defender and one of their most consistent two-way players, and McDaniels wasn't the only one throwing punches that day. Rudy Gobert swung at his own teammate, Kyle Anderson, during a huddle. He got sent home mid-game and was suspended for the first play-in matchup. The Timberwolves weren't just limping into the postseason. They were imploding on camera. McDaniels' injury wasn't tactical or unfortunate. It was completely avoidable. In a tight postseason race, that punch might have been the most damaging play of the game. He wasn't just out for that night. He missed the entire postseason run. For a team depending on perimeter defense to survive the play-in, losing McDaniels to a self-inflicted injury was brutal timing. That wall didn't move, and the Timberwolves paid for it. Chris Webber produced music for Nas back in the mid-2000s. Chris Webber, yes, that Chris Webber, went from running the offense to running beat machines. Most fans knew him as an all-star forward, not a hip-hop producer. But in 2006, his beat ended up on Nas's album, Hip Hop Is Dead. The track, Blunt Ashes, Webber didn't just get a pity placement either. He was officially credited as a producer on that song. The next year, Nas dropped Greatest Hits, and Webber's name showed up again. He co-wrote and produced Surviving the Times. This wasn't some post-retirement hobby. Webber learned production skills the old-school way, spending summers in New Jersey with DJ KG from Naughty by Nature. That's where he picked up how to build beats and how to get people to take him seriously outside of basketball. In interviews, Webber said working with Nas was one of the biggest accomplishments of his life. Not dunking on defenders, not going first overall, not the Fab Five legacy, making beats for Nas. Fans online were stunned. Reddit threads lit up with people saying they had no clue Webber was behind those tracks, but music sites like Who Sampled and Wikipedia confirmed the credits. There's no mystery. It's official. So yeah, while most NBA players try to rap after retirement, Webber quietly went the opposite direction. He helped create 2 real songs for one of the greatest lyricists in the game. It wasn't just a flex, it was a full crossover into hip-hop history, and the beats hold up. The Knicks got busted for tampering with Jalen Brunson. In August 2022, the NBA launched an investigation into the Knicks after they signed Jalen Brunson in free agency. The league wanted to know if New York jumped the gun. Basically, if they talked to Brunson before the June 30th deadline when free agency officially opens. Spoiler, they did. Several red flags were already out there. The Knicks hired Rick Brunson, Jalen's dad, as an assistant coach before free agency started. Knicks president Leon Rose, he used to be both Rick and Jalen's agent. And just to keep the optics spicy, Knicks execs like William Wesley and Allen Houston, along with Julius Randle, were spotted courtside at a Dallas playoff game while Brunson was still playing for the Mavericks. By December, the NBA ruled. The Knicks violated the timing rules. The result? They lost a second-round pick in 2025. That was it. Analysts called the punishment a joke. 1 second-rounder isn't exactly a career ender, especially when the player you got in return averaged over 20 points and 6 assists in his first season and helped lead your team to a top 6 seed. Sure, there were concerns about optics. Critics pointed to how tight the web was. Former agent turned president. Father hired a staff, scouting that looked more like poaching. But the Knicks got their guy. Since then, they've tried to tweak Rick Brunson's role to avoid the word nepotism from floating back into headlines. Jonathan Simmons paid to try out for the NBA. In 2013, Jonathan Simmons wasn't on any draft boards, wasn't getting invites, and wasn't playing overseas. He was just a guy with a dream and $150, so he spent it on a tryout for the Austin Spurs, the G League affiliate of the San Antonio Spurs. There were about 60 other guys at that open tryout. Simmons wasn't the tallest, the flashiest, or the most hyped, but he made an impression. He earned a roster spot and started grinding through the G League. In his first season, he averaged around 10 points per game. Nothing wild, just steady production. The next year, he took another step. 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a reputation for solid defense. He was named to the all-defensive third team. Then came the summer, and Simmons showed out in the summer league. That performance led to his first NBA contract. The Spurs brought him in, and just like that, he went from payings to play to earning real NBA minutes. He stuck around for multiple seasons, and in 2017, the Orlando Magic gave him a contract worth $20 million. This wasn't some top draft pick story. It wasn't the 5-star prospect pipeline. This was a guy who literally bought his shot with $150 and refused to waste it. Simmons didn't just make it, he made it count. Most people spend $150 on shoes or tickets. He used it to buy a future in the NBA. That's not hustle. That's belief with a receipt. Dave Cowens drove a cab in Boston in the mid-1970s. During a short break in the season, Celtics legend Dave Cowens decided to take a night off from being a 6'9" NBA superstar and spent an evening driving a cab. Seriously, he paid $35 to join Boston's Independent Taxi Operators Association, which gave him the right to keep any fares he picked up. Then he and a friend hit the streets, roaming the city in a taxi and picking up around 15 passengers over the course of the night. No one recognized him, not one person. That's despite the fact he was literally one of the biggest and most famous people in town, physically and professionally. He wore a baseball cap to blend in, which is kind of adorable, considering how hard it is to disguise a 6'9" redhead in a confined space. Cowan said he did it purely out of curiosity. No money issues, no weird PR stunt. He just wanted to experience what driving a cab in Boston was actually like. According to Cowens, he enjoyed the ride and found it amusing that nobody had any idea who was chauffeuring them around. It wasn't a second job or some mysterious side hustle. It was a one-night thing, just for fun. A random whim that gave Cowens a quick glimpse into a different world. He played hard, lived strange, and once chauffeured strangers through Boston for kicks. Dave Cowens was built different. Spencer Haywood was kicked off the Lakers during the finals. In the middle of the 1980 NBA Finals, Spencer Haywood hit rock bottom, right as his team was chasing a championship. He was battling a serious cocaine addiction that had taken a toll all season. During practices, he'd fall asleep. Before Game 3 of the Finals against Philadelphia, he passed out during a workout. That was it. Coach Paul Westhead suspended him after that game, and the rest of the Lakers reportedly voted to support the move. Haywood was kicked off the team mid-finals, right before they closed out the title. He didn't get a championship ring. He wasn't invited to the parade. His name didn't get celebrated with the rest of the roster. Years later, Haywood admitted that the moment pushed him into some dark thoughts. He even said he briefly considered hiring someone to hurt Westhead. The plan didn't go anywhere. His mother convinced him to step back. After the suspension, Haywood left for Italy and played overseas for a short stretch. He later returned to the NBA, finished his career with the Bullets, and eventually got his life together. He's been sober for decades now and works as an advocate for addiction recovery. That finals benching wasn't just a team decision, it became a turning point in his life. He missed a title, missed a celebration, and nearly lost himself completely. But he clawed his way back and lived to tell the story. For Haywood, getting cut wasn't the end. It was the wake-up call. Larry Bird got the Hawks bench fine. On March 12, 1985, Larry Bird absolutely torched the Atlanta Hawks for 60 points in a neutral site game down in New Orleans. He was hitting every fadeaways, deep threes, left-handed floater. The Hawks couldn't stop him, and by the end, they weren't even pretending to try. The wild part wasn't just the scoring, it was the Hawks bench reaction. As Bird kept lighting them up, players on Atlanta's sideline started laughing, high-fiving, and straight up celebrating his shots. They were losing their minds every time Bird hit another impossible jumper. Wilkins later said the bench was so into it, he made sure the fine actually happened. Yeah, you read that right. He helped make it happen. Head coach Mike Fratello was furious. He called it unprofessional and fined every player on the bench $500. We're trying to beat these people, he said. We're not going to the movies to enjoy a show. Bird's performance was so ridiculous that even the opposing team couldn't help but admire it in real time. But Fratello didn't care how special it was. To him, it was about keeping that competitive mindset. Even if you were watching one of the most unstoppable nights in NBA history. That game still stands out, not just because of the 60 points, but because the Hawks literally got fined for being too impressed. Larry Bird didn't just break records that night, he broke the opponent's will and their composure. No tipping Pippen. Scottie Pippen's reputation for being a notoriously stingy tipper isn't some internet myth. It's been confirmed across decades, cities, and sources. Back in 1997, Sports Illustrated listed him by name in an article about bad tippers, saying staff at a South Florida restaurant reported zero gratuity. He made their skinflint list alongside other tight-fisted legends. Fast forward to 2014, Charles Barkley went on Conan and without hesitation said, "There's nobody cheaper than Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan." According to Barkley, that frugality is part of how they kept their wealth, but the tone wasn't exactly complimentary. Then there's the valet story from Chicago's Hard Rock Hotel. Workers there gave him the nickname No Tippin' Pippen after he tipped just $6 to move his massive Hummer H2. That's $6 for a full valet experience. Not exactly baller behavior. Online stories pile on. Reddit threads. Real GM forums. People share first-hand or second-hand accounts from restaurant servers, hotel staff, even other players. One common theme: Pippen expected big-time service, but rarely left anything behind. Horace Grant is even quoted as confirming it. This isn't some exaggerated fan tale. It's a reputation that's followed Pippen for decades. Between media reports, celebrity call-outs, and actual hotel workers giving him a nickname, the pattern's too consistent to ignore. No tipping. Pippen didn't come from nowhere. It came from a history of stiff servers, annoyed valets, and teammates who couldn't help but laugh about it later. The almost Nova Knicks. In the summer of 2024, the Knicks looked like they were building the ultimate chemistry experiment, a full-blown Villanova reunion. They already had Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Then they traded for Bridges. That was 3 key players from the Wildcats' 2016 championship team. The final piece was Devo. Once he signed, fans dubbed them the Nova Knicks, convinced the chemistry from college would finally fuel something special in New York. But before the group ever played a single minute together, the whole thing fell apart. In late September, the Knicks pulled off a blockbuster deal for Karl Anthony Towns. The price? Julius Randle and Devo. Just like that, the Nova core was broken before it even took the court. Fans were gutted. ESPN called it the greatest Knicks team that never was. GQ said it looked perfect on paper, but got erased before we ever saw the blueprint in action. Even Magic Johnson chimed in months later, saying the team lost its swagger when they gave up Devo's toughness and scoring off the bench. The trade might have made sense on paper. Superstar in, depth out, but it also killed one of the most hyped reunions the franchise had seen in years. So yes, the Knicks built a Villanova dream team, but no, they never shared the court together. The whole Nova Knicks era was over before it started, remembered now as a chemistry experiment that stayed in the lab. Suns sell their stars for cash and useless picks. The Suns grabbed Luol Deng with the 7th pick in 2004, but shipped him to the Bulls before he could even unpack. In return, they got Jackson Vroman, a future first-rounder that became the 21st pick in 2005, and some cash. Deng went on to become a 2-time All-Star and a steady forward any team would love to have. Vroman barely made a ripple, and that future pick turned into Nate Robinson, who they then traded away. One fan broke it down bluntly. They basically turned a 7th pick in a stacked draft into less than $5 million. 2 years later, deja vu hit. The Suns drafted Rajon Rondo with the 21st pick in 2006, then immediately sent him, Brian Grant, and cash to Boston for a future pick. That pick became Rudy Fernandez, who was flipped for more cash without playing a game for Phoenix. Meanwhile, Rondo grew into a 4-time All-Star, an NBA champion, and a lockdown defense leader for the Celtics. These choices didn't just sting in the short term, they cut off a path to sustainable success. Instead of developing young stars, Phoenix chased quick wins that never led to a title. Boston, on the other hand, used Rondo to fuel a championship core around Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, showing exactly what the Suns had let slip away. Lakers, bet big, on Deng and Mozgov. In the summer of 2016, the Lakers handed Luol Deng a 4-year deal worth $72 million and Timofey Mozgov a 4-year deal worth $64 million. That's a combined $136 million during a rebuild right after Kobe Bryant retired. The roster was built around young players like Brandon Ingram and D'Angelo Russell, so pouring huge money into aging vets was a gamble from the start. Mozgov had just fallen out of Cleveland's rotation, yet got a payday fit for a star. Deng, though respected, had already posted his lowest scoring average since his rookie year. By season's end, both were benched, so the young core could get more minutes. They stayed inactive for the rest of the year, eating up cap space, while not contributing on the floor. The deals also boxed the Lakers out of chasing elite free agents in the following summers. Jeanie Buss even admitted that the best possible outcome that year was keeping their first-round pick by losing enough games. Not exactly a ringing endorsement. Dang's contract aged especially badly. He played just 57 games over 2 seasons, and the team stretched his deal, paying him $5 million annually from 2020 through 2022. Without him playing a single minute, that's over $1 million per game, he actually suited up. These signings didn't just waste money. They slowed the rebuild, triggered a front office overhaul, and became a textbook example of why rebuilding teams shouldn't overpay veterans past their peak. Suns gamble on Bender and Chris. In 2016, Phoenix took Dragon Bender with the 4th pick, banking on his size, versatility, and international upside. Instead, he averaged barely over 5 points a game and never became the front court piece they hoped for. The real sting is knowing they passed on proven scorers like Jamal Murray and Buddy Hield, who became strong contributors elsewhere. That same night, they doubled down. Phoenix traded the 13th and 28th picks, the rights to Bogdan Bogdanovic, and a future second-rounder to Sacramento to move up to 8th for Marquise Chris. Chris flashed early promise, even making the all-rookie second team, but his development stalled. He bounced around the league before fading out entirely. Losing Bogdanovic, who went on to be a productive scorer and playmaker, only made that trade look worse. Both moves drained valuable assets without giving Phoenix a return anywhere close to what was given up. Passing on players like Sabonis or keeping their draft capital could have set up a far better core around Devin Booker. Instead, they burned prime opportunities on short-lived projects. The ripple effects were huge. The missed talent ended up strengthening rival teams, while Phoenix slogged through more rebuilding years. This draft is still talked about as one of their biggest modern missteps, a glaring example of poor scouting, risky trades, and a front office willing to overpay in assets for potential that never materialized. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting it every day. Thanks. Anyways, Sixers choose Harris over Butler. After the 2018 to 2019 season, Philadelphia locked in Harris with a 5-year, $180 million deal and sent Jimmy Butler to Miami in a sign and trade. While Butler's viral "Harris over me" line made headline, the front office's real choice was keeping Ben Simmons as the long-term partner for Joel Embiid instead of fully committing to Butler. The gamble on Harris hasn't aged well. His contract became one of the league's least efficient, paying star money for production many saw as replaceable. Butler, meanwhile, immediately proved his worth, leading the Heat to the finals and showing the exact playoff toughness the Sixers let walk. Behind the scenes, the fit issues mattered. Butler and Simmons didn't mesh, and the organization sided with Simmons, betting on his development over Butler's proven track record. That decision left Philadelphia trying to force a roster construction that never quite worked, piling on big deals for Harris and Al Horford that created clunky lineups and rotation headaches. The fallout was costly. Multiple coaching changes, stalled playoff runs, and a team identity still in flux. All the while, Butler thrived in Miami, reinforcing that the Sixers had let go of a premier two-way leader in his prime. This moment became a textbook example of how prioritizing harmony and potential over-tested postseason success can slam shut a championship window. Timberwolves give Wiggins the max after a promise. In 2017, Minnesota was ready to hand 22-year-old Andrew Wiggins a 5-year, $148 million rookie extension. But before signing off, owner Glenn Taylor wanted more than just a signature. He called Wiggins in for a face-to-face meeting, not to talk contracts, but to hear a verbal pledge that he'd push his game forward. Taylor asked him to commit to becoming better in every area, sharper on defense, more aggressive on the boards, and more consistent overall. It wasn't a legal clause, just a personal agreement. The message was clear. The money came with the expectation that Wiggins would grow into the star his draft status promised. The conversation became public, with media outlets framing it as the Timberwolves only offering the deal after hearing Wiggins say he'd improve. 1 week before the season tipped off, on October 11th, Wiggins signed the max extension, officially ending months of speculation. The team had their young cornerstone locked in, and the franchise made it clear they were betting big on his potential, rather than just his past production. It's one of those rare moments where a massive NBA contract was preceded by an old-fashioned handshake-style assurance, the kind that puts just as much weight on words as on the zeros in the paycheck. Lakers let Caruso walk over tax concerns. In August 2021, Alex Caruso hit free agency fresh off helping the Lakers win a championship with high-energy play and elite defense. Chicago put a 4-year, $37 million offer on the table, and Caruso accepted. The Lakers, worried about luxury tax costs, came in way lower, a 3-year, $21 million offer. Even when Caruso floated a 2-year, $20 million compromise, the front office passed. Reports said the Lakers hoped he'd throw them a bone to help their tax bill, despite him proving his value on both ends. He'd been a perfect fit alongside LeBron James, but instead of keeping that chemistry, they chose to save money. The fallout was immediate. Caruso's defensive instincts, hustle, and knack for making winning plays weren't replaced. Talon Horton-Tucker and other signings didn't match his impact. The Lakers stumbled to a 33-49 record in 2022, missing the playoffs. Caruso thrived in Chicago and later with Oklahoma City, earning an $81 million extension and playing a major role in a finals run. For the Lakers, the choice is now widely seen as one of Rob Pelinka's bigger mistakes, letting a fan favorite and proven contributor leave to trim a tax bill. It's become a reminder that cutting costs can sometimes cut out a team's competitive edge. Mavericks let Brunson walk for nothing. In 2022, Jalen Brunson had just carried a huge load in the playoffs, stepping up when Luka was injured and helping Dallas reach the Western Conference Finals. The front office had 2 earlier chances to lock him up on a 4-year, $55 million extension, but they passed both times. Reports say they hesitated to commit, possibly to keep him trade eligible, but no deal ever came. By July, Brunson was gone, signing a 4-year, $104 million contract with the Knicks. In New York, he became a 2-time All-Star and made the All-NBA second team, turning into exactly the kind of leader Dallas now wishes they'd kept. His scoring, poise, and leadership have been a driving force for the Knicks' rise. The Mavericks, meanwhile, scrambled to fill the hole. They brought in Kyrie Irving and later traded Luka for Anthony Davis, but those moves haven't delivered the same stability or success. Fans and analysts point to Brunson's departure as a franchise-altering blunder, especially with his own public confirmation that he approached Dallas twice, ready to sign the $55 million deal, and was turned down both times. It's now one of the clearest examples of a front office undervaluing a rising star, watching him flourish elsewhere, and paying the long-term price for short-term indecision. Bulls trade. Aldridge. On draft night, on June 28, 2006, Chicago used the 2nd overall pick on LaMarcus Aldridge, only to ship his rights to Portland for the 4th pick, Tyrese Thomas plus Victor Kriapa. That same night, they drafted Rodney Carney at 16 and flipped him to Philadelphia for Thabo Sefolosha, cash, and a 2nd-round pick. Aldridge went on to be a 7-time All-Star, earn multiple All-NBA honors, and score over 20,000 career points. He became one of the league's most consistent and skilled big men, anchoring the Blazers and later the Spurs. Thomas, meanwhile, gave Chicago modest rookie numbers of about 5 points and under 4 rebounds a game. His flashes of athleticism never turned into long-term production, and his stint as a Bull was short-lived. The missed opportunity was huge. Aldridge could have been a reliable front-court partner for Luol Deng and Kirk Hinrich during a competitive stretch, giving the Bulls a true inside-out balance. Instead, they gambled on raw athletic potential over proven skill and lost out on a cornerstone. In hindsight, the trade has been labeled one of the franchise's more regrettable draft night moves. The contrast between Aldridge's longevity and Thomas' fleeting impact makes the decision stand out as a clear miscalculation that altered Chicago's trajectory for years. Suns let Joe Johnson go. In 2005, fresh off a 62-win season, Joe Johnson hit restricted free agency after proving himself as a sharpshooting, versatile piece next to Steve Nash, Stat, and Shawn Marion. He was unhappy with his role and felt lowballed in extension talks, with negotiations reportedly coming down to less than $1 million difference. Johnson asked owner Robert Sarver not to match Atlanta's offer, making it clear he wanted out. On August 19th, Phoenix agreed to a sign and trade with the Hawks, sending Johnson for Boris Diaw, 2 future first-rounders, and a trade exception. The move even triggered an ownership dispute in Atlanta, with minority owner Steve Belkin initially blocking the deal before selling his stake, allowing it to go through. Johnson went on to become a multiple-time All-Star in Atlanta, averaging over 20 points and anchoring their rebuild. Diaw did win Most Improved Player in 2006 and played a valuable role, but the Suns lost an elite scorer and secondary playmaker right in their prime contention window. Johnson later said that without his playoff injury, or if he'd stayed, the Suns might have won a championship that year. In hindsight, it's viewed as one of Phoenix's costliest decisions of that era, trading away a rising star who perfectly fit their system for a return that never matched his long-term impact. Magic draft. Fran Vasquez, never see him play. In 2005, Orlando used the 11th pick on Spanish big man Fran Vasquez, hoping he'd pair with Dwight Howard to lock down their front court for years. Just a month later, he shocked the team by announcing he'd stay in Spain and sign with Acasvallo Girona instead of joining the NBA. That single decision made him one of only 2 lottery picks ever to log 0 NBA minutes. The cost wasn't just in wasted hype. The Magic passed on players like Danny Granger, David Lee, Monta Ellis, and Gerald Green, all of whom went on to have productive careers. They held on to his draft rights for years, even carrying a few million in cap space tied to him early on, which meant a dead roster slot for a player who was never coming over. The absence hurt their front court depth and development plan. Executives at the time publicly insisted it wasn't a mistake, but it's since become one of the most infamous moments in franchise draft history. The saga dragged on until 2023, when the Magic finally renounced his rights, nearly 2 decades after picking him. It remains a textbook cautionary tale, a high lottery selection that produced 0 value, disrupted roster building, and lingered like a ghost over the team's planning far longer than anyone would have imagined. Rockets swapped Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. In the summer of 2019, Houston sent Chris Paul 2 future first-round picks and 2 pick swaps to Oklahoma City to reunite James Harden with his former teammate Russell Westbrook. Reports made it clear Harden had pushed for the move, even though it meant pairing 2 ball-dominant MVPs with similar styles. The trade was flashy, but it ripped out a system built around Paul's efficient playmaking. While Westbrook brought energy and athleticism, the fit issues showed quickly. Both guards needed the ball, and their high usage often cramped the offense. February was the high point, when each averaged over 30 points and 5 assists, but the overall chemistry never fully clicked. The cost went beyond fit. Losing Paul and those future picks stripped Houston of flexibility. The team finished 44-28 in the regular season, then bowed out in the second round against the Lakers. Within a year, the gamble was over. Westbrook was shipped to Washington for John Wall and a protected first-rounder, essentially admitting the experiment had failed. What was meant to be a leap toward a championship instead became a short-lived detour, draining assets and breaking a roster core that had already been a contender. It's remembered as one of the Rockets' most ambitious swings and one of their quickest retreats. Knicks trade for Andrea Bargnani. In July 2013, New York sent Marcus Camby, Steve Novak, Quentin Richardson, a 2016 first-round pick, plus second-rounders in 2014 and 2017 to Toronto for the former number 1 overall pick. By then, Bargnani's reputation had shifted from potential star to injury-prone scorer with shaky defense and minimal rebound, making the price tag steep. The trade drained both depth and draft capital, leaving the Knicks with less flexibility to build around Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler. Losing Novak's shooting and Camby's veteran presence hurt spacing and bench stability, and those future picks could have been leveraged for longer-term help. On the court, Bargnani's tenure was rocky. His style didn't mesh with the roster, and he struggled to impact games beyond occasional scoring bursts. In January 2014, a torn ligament in his left elbow ended his season early. Without his contribution, and with the roster thinner, New York went 37-45, missing the playoffs. The following year collapsed entirely, with a 17-65 record, one of the worst in franchise history. Looking back, the move is widely considered one of the Knicks' most lopsided trades of the modern era. They surrendered valuable assets for a player whose production never matched his cost, and the decision became a cautionary tale of chasing a name rather than building sustainable success. Mavericks let Steve Nash walk. In 2004, Dallas faced a decision on their 30-year-old point guard hitting free agency. They offered about 4 years at $9 million annually, with only part of a 5th year guaranteed. Phoenix came in with 6 years and $63 million, and the Mavericks decided not to match. Mark Cuban and the front office leaned on medical advice, suggesting Nash's body might not hold up, and they wanted to prioritize building around Dirk Nowitzki and a younger core. Nash's move to Phoenix flipped that narrative fast. He won back-to-back MVP awards, became the face of an explosive offense, and took the Suns deep into the playoffs. His ball movement and pace transformed the league's offensive trends. Meanwhile, Cuban has since admitted the choice still bothers him, and even Dirk has hinted that it's one of the most second-guessed calls in their run together. Fans never forgot either. As they've put it bluntly, the Mavericks didn't trade Nash. They let him walk for nothing. What they lost wasn't just talent, but a Hall of Fame leader who could have extended their contention window. In hindsight, financial caution and fear of decline cost Dallas far more than it saved, making this one of the franchise's most regretted what-ifs. Lakers trade Zubac for Muscala. On February 7, 2019, the Lakers sent 21-year-old Zubac and Michael Beasley to the Clippers for Mike Muscala. The idea was that Muscala's shooting would stretch the floor, but the gamble fizzled fast. Zubac was already showing real growth as a rim protector and rebounder. Once in a Clippers jersey, he stepped right into a starting role, becoming a steady two-way presence and one of the league's more reliable big men. The Lakers, on the other hand, got just 17 games from Muscala, who averaged under 6 points and barely 3 rebounds. His impact was minimal, and he didn't return after the season. Critics quickly pounced, calling the move one of the league's more baffling trades, especially since it handed a young, improving center to a crosstown rival for essentially a short rental. For the Clippers, Zubac became part of their long-term rotation. For the Lakers, it became a case study in undervaluing developing talent for a quick fix that never materialized. The long-term sting isn't just that Zubac thrived, it's that the Lakers have since scrambled to find consistent center play while watching him do exactly what they needed, just across the hall. It remains one of their most puzzling modern roster decisions, remembered as a lopsided swap that aged badly, almost immediately. Kings pick Bagley over Luka. In the 2018 draft, Sacramento held the second pick and chose Marvin Bagley out of Duke. Luka went third to Atlanta, who immediately traded him to Dallas. Then GM Vlade Divac later said he passed on Luka because he didn't think pairing him with De'Aaron Fox made sense, believing two ball-dominant guards would overlap too much. That logic hasn't aged well. Luka has since become a perennial All-NBA first-team player, Rookie of the Year, and the face of the Mavericks, leading them on deep playoff runs, including a finals appearance. Bagley, despite making the all-rookie first team, battled injuries and inconsistency, never establishing himself as a franchise cornerstone. After 3.5 seasons, the Kings traded him away. The opportunity cost was massive. Luka's talent and offensive engine could have transformed Sacramento's trajectory, and the decision looks even worse knowing the same draft class produced other stars like Jaren Jackson and Trae Young. Passing on a generational prospect for fit concerns is now viewed as a critical miscalculation. This choice reshaped the NBA landscape. Dallas landed a superstar, while Sacramento's rebuild stretched on longer than it might have. Years later, it remains one of the most dissected draft night decisions in the league history, both for what it cost the Kings and for how dramatically it elevated another franchise. Celtics trade Chauncey Billups as a rookie. On February 18, 1998, Boston sent rookie number 3 pick Chauncey Billups, D. Brown, Roy Rogers, and John Thomas to Toronto for Kenny Anderson, Popeye Jones, and Jan Tabak. Rick Pitino, running the team as coach and president, wanted veterans to push a win-now approach, despite the roster's flaws. Billups was averaging just over 11 points and 4 assists in 25 minutes, showing the kind of upside that made him a top 3 pick. The return didn't come close to matching that potential. Anderson was a solid point guard, but didn't change the team's trajectory. Jones played only 18 games, and Tabak barely contributed over 3 points and rebounds a night. Pitino later admitted the move was short-sighted, saying they should have taken their lumps and kept Billups. The Celtics finished 36-46, missing the playoffs, and gave up on a player who would become a 5-time All-Star, Finals MVP, and Hall of Famer. The trade is still viewed, though, as one of Boston's biggest missteps, a classic case of chasing short-term stability at the expense of long-term greatness. Billups went on to lead the Pistons to a championship, while Boston was left with a cautionary tale about the cost of impatience. Clippers draft Michael Olowokandi, first overall. In 1998, holding the top pick, the Clippers chose the 7'1" center from Pacific, a late bloomer touted for his size and athletic upside despite a limited basketball resume. The gamble never paid off. Over his career, Olowokandi averaged about 8 points and 7 rebounds, battling injuries and failing to develop into the dominant presence they'd envisioned. The real sting came from who they passed on. That draft produced future Hall of Famers and All-Stars like Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter, Paul Pierce, and Anton Jameson. Any of them could have reshaped the Clippers' fortune. Instead, they went with positional need over proven production. Even then, GM Elgin Baylor admitted the choice carried risk, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who tried mentoring Olowokandi, later called him talented but uncoachable, a trait that stalled his growth. This wasn't just a bad pick. It became a symbol of the Clippers' mismanagement in that era. With a different choice, they might have had a legitimate star to build around during one of the franchise's many down cycles. Instead, the number 1 selection turned into one of the most frequently cited draft busts in NBA history. a cautionary tale of chasing upside without weighing readiness or temperament. Warriors trade Chris Webber. After one season, in 1993, Golden State landed Webber with the first overall pick, and he delivered right away, 17.5 points, over 9 rebounds a game, Rookie of the Year honors, and a 50-32 record with a playoff berth. But behind the scenes, things soured fast. Webber clashed with coach and GM Don Nelson, who wanted him to play as a post-up center instead of the versatile power forward role he preferred. With a 1-year escape clause in his rookie deal, Webber forced the team's hand by demanding a trade. The Warriors sent him to Washington for Tom Gugliotta and 3 future first-round picks in 1996, 1998, and 2000. Gugliotta was gone before the end of the season, and the picks never came close to matching Webber's value. Losing a generational young star after just 1 year crippled Golden State's trajectory. The team missed the playoffs for the next 12 seasons, cycling through coaches and rosters, while Webber went on to multiple All-Star selections and an All-NBA career. This wasn't just a bad trade, it became a symbol of how internal clashes and rigid philosophies can sabotage a franchise's future. For Warriors fans, it remains one of the clearest examples of what happens when short-term control wins out over long-term vision. Raptors trade Vince Carter for minimal return. In December 2004, Toronto sent their franchise star to New Jersey for Alonzo Mourning, Eric Williams, Aaron Williams, and 2 future first-round picks. Mourning refused to report, was bought out, and signed with Miami. The Williams brothers played limited minutes and were eventually moved on. The draft picks became Joey Graham in 2005 and Ronaldo Balkman in 2006, neither approaching Carter's impact. Carter was more than just an all-star. He was Air Cannon, the player who put the Raptors on the map, brought them their first playoff berth, and helped forge a basketball identity in a hockey-first city. Moving him for so little gutted both the roster and the fan base's morale. While tensions with management and injuries played into the breakup, the return was almost entirely short-term filler. Carter thrived with the Nets, making playoff runs and continuing his all-star level production, while Toronto entered a period of mediocrity without a clear centerpiece. This trade remains one of the most lopsided in league history, a cautionary tale about letting a star go without securing meaningful assets in return. Nearly 2 decades later, Carter's number 15 now hangs in the rafters, but the sting of how he left still serves as a reminder of how quickly a franchise's trajectory can change when talent is mismanaged. Trailblazers pass on Michael Jordan. In 1984, Portland had the 2nd pick and went with Sam Bowie, a 7'1" center from Kentucky who'd already dealt with serious leg injuries. They passed on Michael Jordan, who went 3rd to Chicago. Portland's logic was all about filling a gap at center, since they already had Clyde Drexler and Jim Paxson at shooting guard. General manager Stu Inman later admitted he didn't recognize just how great Jordan would become. Bowie had flashes of skill, but his time in Portland was defined by injuries. Over 5 seasons, he played only 139 games, and multiple leg fractures forced him into repeated surgeries. That meant Portland never got the dominant big man they hoped for. Meanwhile, Jordan exploded into a global icon. He won 6 championships, 5 MVP awards, and transformed basketball into an international phenomenon. The contrast between what Portland got and what they passed up makes this one of the most talked about missteps in sports history. This wasn't just a bad pick. It became the textbook example of why teams can't draft solely for positional need. Portland's choice didn't just shape their future, it altered the course of the entire league. The ripple effects touched Chicago, the NBA's popularity, and the way front offices think about talent evaluation forever. Suns draft Josh Jackson over future All-Stars. In 2017, Phoenix held the 4th pick and chose Josh Jackson, a 6'8" wing from Kansas. He even skipped a workout with Boston to make sure he landed with the Suns. At the time, the choice made sense to a lot of people. They wanted more defense and athleticism alongside Devin Booker, and Jackson was seen as a top 2-way option for a rebuilding roster. Jackson's rookie year brought enough promise to land him on the all-rookie 2nd team. But things didn't trend upward. By year 2, his stats leveled off at around 11 points and 4 rebounds per game, and frustration on the court showed through technical fouls. 2 seasons in, Phoenix traded him away, ending what was supposed to be a long-term fit. The sting of that decision got worse, as players taken after him thrived. De'Aaron Fox became a speedy all-star guard. Donovan Mitchell grew into a franchise leader with multiple all-star nods. Bam Adebayo developed into a defensive anchor and reliable scorer for Miami. Each of them delivered the consistent production and leadership Phoenix had been missing. By 2022, a Bleacher Report redraft dropped Jackson all the way to pick 26, showing just how far his stock had fallen. For the Suns, it was a lesson in valuing proven potential over perceived positional need, and it's remembered as a choice that could have completely altered their path had they gone in another direction. Wizards draft John Vesely, 6 overall. In 2011, Washington used their 6th pick on Jan Vesely, a Czech forward with impressive athleticism and a reputation for high-flying play. Scouts saw him as a unique blend of size, speed, and leaping ability, and some even compared him to Blake Griffin's overseas twin. John Wall later admitted that the team believed that comparison at the time. The plan was to slot Vesely in as a versatile frontcourt piece who could run the floor and energize a rebuilding roster. Instead, his NBA production never came close to those expectations. Over 3 seasons, he averaged fewer than 5 points per game and never carved out a steady role. His game didn't translate against NBA defenses, and his lack of polish made it hard for him to adapt. The problem wasn't just his own play, it was what the pick represented. With a high lottery slot, Washington had the chance to land a real building block. Players like Klay Thompson were still on the board, and missing out on that level of talent stalled their progress in the early John Wall years. This wasn't an isolated misstep either. The Vesely selection highlighted a pattern of questionable drafting decisions that limited the team's long-term growth. By the time Washington moved on, the damage was done, and the choice became one of the defining reminders of how risky it can be to chase athletic potential without proven skills to back it up. Bulls trade Ron Artest before his prime. In February of 2002, Chicago sent Ron Artest, Brad Miller, Ron Mercer, and Kevin Ollie to Indiana. Coming back were Jalen Rose, Travis Best, Norm Richardson, and a 2nd-round pick. At the time, the Bulls gave up nearly 59% of their scoring in one move. Indiana quickly cashed in. Artest developed into one of the league's toughest perimeter defenders and earned all-star recognition. Miller wasn't far behind, becoming a reliable scoring and rebounding presence in the Pacers' frontcourt and grabbing an all-star spot himself. Both players provided the kind of long-term production every rebuilding team dreams about. Chicago's return didn't come close. Rose was solid offensively, but only appeared in 128 games before moving on. Best played sparingly, and Richardson saw almost no court time at all. That 2nd-round pick didn't change the franchise's direction either. Looking back, the trade essentially swapped 2 future All-Stars for short-term scoring help and minimal depth. For a team in transition, it drained away young talent right when patience could have paid off. It's remembered as one of the franchise's most lopsided deals and a cautionary tale about rushing to make moves instead of letting developing players reach their full potential. Kings draft Thomas Robinson over Damian Lillard. In 2012, Sacramento held the 5th pick and went with Thomas Robinson, a power forward from Kansas. The very next pick, Portland grabbed Damian Lillard, who went on to become one of the league's most dynamic guards. At the time, the Kings saw Robinson as a strong, high-energy frontcourt piece, but his stay in Sacramento was short. He averaged under 5 points per game and was traded to Houston before his rookie season even ended. Lillard, meanwhile, immediately made noise as Rookie of the Year and grew into a perennial All-Star, multiple All-NBA selection, and Portland's all-time leading scorer. The gap between the two careers couldn't be wider, and that contrast turned this decision into one of the most criticized in Kings history. Analysts have pointed out that the issue wasn't just missing on Lillard, it was how little value the Kings got from their pick. That missed opportunity stung even more as Lillard consistently delivered clutch performances and leadership, exactly what Sacramento had been lacking. Fans haven't let it go either. The choice is still a talking point over a decade later, often brought up as a symbol of the franchise's struggles with talent evaluation. Blake Griffin. The ring chase was real, but the result, not exactly storybook. Blake joined the Brooklyn Nets in March of 2021 after getting bought out by Detroit. It wasn't subtle. He linked up with Durant and Kyrie for one reason only, to chase a championship. He suited up for 7 playoff games against Boston and averaged just under 5 points, 3 boards, and 2 assists. Decent numbers for a role guy, but nowhere near enough to change their fate. Brooklyn didn't get that ring, and neither did Blake. Then came the Boston chapter. In September of 2022, he signed a 1-year deal at the veteran minimum. No superstar reunion this time, just a guy trying to hang on, hoping for one last shot at the title. He had to dig deep just to pick a jersey number because the Celtics had already retired so many. He ended up rocking number 91, a tribute to Dennis Rodman. That was probably the most memorable thing about his stint there. He played 569 regular season minutes and barely touched the court in the playoffs. Just 6 minutes total. That's it. So in the end, both stops. Brooklyn and Boston gave him hope, but not hardware. Blake Griffin went all in twice and came up empty both times. DeMarcus Cousins. In the summer of 2018, he signed a one-year deal with the Warriors, worth around $5 million. He was coming off a torn Achilles and wasn't getting offers he liked. So he took the gamble. Low money, high reward. It wasn't just a business move either. He reached out to the front office himself, spoke with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, and made his intentions clear. He wanted a ring. While rehabbing, he spent time with their G League affiliate in December. By January, he made his Warriors debut, scoring 14 points before fouling out. Things were looking up. In April, he had a strong game against Denver, 28 points and 13 boards. But the playoffs weren't kind. In the very first round, Game 2, he tore his left quadriceps. Just brutal timing. He was out indefinitely. Somehow, he returned for the finals. But it wasn't the same. He came off the bench in Game 1, and you could tell he wasn't 100%. The Warriors ended up losing the finals, 4-2 against Toronto. The dream was over. Cousins made a calculated move by joining Golden State, but the injuries just kept piling on. First the Achilles, then the quad. He came back both times, but that window slammed shut fast. His role in the finals was limited, and despite putting himself on a super team, the title never came. In the end, that ring chase didn't pay off. He tried to rehab and win at the same time, but reality had other plans. No title, just another chapter in the long list of big names, chasing the ring and coming up short. Karl Malone. After 18 seasons chasing ghosts in Utah, he packed his bags for Los Angeles in 2003, linking up with Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Gary Payton. He wanted that ring. The Lakers were built like a cheat code, and Malone joined for the minimum, grabbing jersey number 11 because Magic's 32 was off limits. Though Magic offered, Malone still said no. The start looked promising. The Lakers went 18-3 before Malone's knee gave out in the late December. That injury sidelined him for 39 games. Still, when he played, they won, going 33-9 with him and just 23-17 without him. In the playoffs, he suited up for 21 games, posting over 11 points, nearly 9 boards, and a few assists a night. He was no longer the lead dog, but he was steady. They fought through the West and made it to the finals against Detroit. That's when it all unraveled. Malone sprained his right knee in Game 3. The numbers dropped, just 5 points a game in the finals, and he couldn't even play in Game 5. That was the end of the line. Detroit knocked them out 4-1, so that final shot at glory missed. Malone gave it one last push on a loaded squad and got as close as he'd ever been. But no ring, no parade, just a limping exit after 21 playoff games and a long career spent watching other guys lift trophies. That season wrapped up everything about Malone's chase. Famous teammates, flashes of greatness, then a final injury at the worst possible time. He finished with the most playoff games ever without winning a title. A brutal record for a guy who tried everything. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm gonna be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Brooklyn Nets. In the summer of 2013, they went all in on one of the most reckless ring chase trades in league history. On draft night, they pulled off a massive deal with Boston, landing Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and DJ White. In return, Brooklyn shipped out a pile of future first-round picks and a bunch of rotation players like Chris Humphries and Gerald Wallace. It was expensive, painfully expensive. The picks ended up becoming Tatum and Brown. The message was loud and clear: championship or bust. Paul Pierce said it himself. This was about chasing a ring, and he believed Brooklyn gave him the best shot. So yeah, there was zero mystery about the motivation here. The regular season, it was fine. They ended with 44 wins and a playoff ticket, landing in the 6th seed. In the first round, they scraped past Toronto in 7 games. Then came the Miami Heat, the defending champs. Brooklyn had swept them during the regular season, which made the playoff matchup seem promising. It wasn't. The Nets got knocked out in 5 games. This was a team built to win now, veterans, star power, experience. But the window slammed shut almost instantly. Pierce and Garnett were far past their prime. The chemistry never clicked like they hoped. And the cost? 3 first-round picks, plus the right to swap another. All of that for 1 year of relevance and 0 banners. No ring, no deep run, just a bloated roster and a gutted future. It's still considered one of the worst trade decisions ever made. The gamble backfired so hard, it took Brooklyn years to recover. What was supposed to be a shortcut to a title turned into a long detour back to mediocrity. Carmelo Anthony. In August of 2021, he signed with the Lakers, hoping this would finally be the season he got that championship. He called it a must-have, and he wasn't joking. After years of scoring, moving teams, and falling short, this was his big move to a title contender, or at least that was the plan. He debuted in October and put up 9 points with a few boards and assists. A few nights later, he exploded for 28 points and passed Moses Malone for 9th on the NBA's all-time scoring list. By January, he hit another milestone, 28,000 career points. That kind of scoring legacy is rare, and he did it while shooting nearly 38% from deep across 69 games. The problem? The Lakers were a mess. Injuries, rotations, chemistry, none of it clicked. Despite Carmelo doing his part and putting up over 13 points a night, the team stumbled to a 33-49 finish. They didn't just miss the playoffs, they missed the play-in. It was a quiet collapse for a team built around stars. Carmelo's role wasn't flashy, but he gave solid minutes off the bench. He was brought in to space the floor, hit open shots, and maybe finally win a ring. Instead, the season ended with nothing but frustration and another missed opportunity. No playoffs meant no ring, and that Lakers chapter went into the books as another ring chase that ended with a thud. He chased it with effort, but the ending didn't change. No postseason, no title, just another season, another jersey, and that championship still sitting out of reach. Cleveland Cavaliers. In 2018, they didn't just reload. They detonated the roster mid-season in a frantic attempt to keep LeBron James and win one more ring. LeBron had declined his player option, making it clear the front office had a narrow window to convince him to stay, and they went all in. On February 8th, they flipped nearly half the team in one day. Out went Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder, D. Wade, and others. In came George Hill, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and Larry Nance Jr. It was one of the most chaotic trade deadlines in league history. They added youth, energy, and tried to bury the drama from earlier in the season. Nance, a local product, made waves right away with 22 points and 15 rebounds in one early start. The regular season finished solidly at 50 wins, enough for the 4th seed in the East. Playoff time came, and LeBron went into full takeover mode. They beat Indiana in 7, swept Toronto, and took down Boston in another 7-game slugfest. But the finals? That's where the dream ended. Golden State stomped them in 4 straight, making it the first final sweep in over a decade. Cleveland's retooled squad couldn't keep up. All the trades, all the fresh faces, they made it back to the big stage, but had nothing left. It was the definition of a desperate ring chase. LeBron carried them, but the patchwork roster wasn't enough. The gamble gave them one more finals, but no title, no magic ending. And after that sweep, LeBron was gone. That ring chase didn't just fail, it marked the end of an era in Cleveland. Charles Barkley, his ring chase in Houston came in 2 distinct chapters, the Drexler era and the Pippen experiment. It started in 1996 when he got traded to the Rockets to join forces with Hakeem and Clyde Drexler. This was his super team moment. In that first season, Barkley averaged 19 points and over 13 rebounds. Despite ankle and hip problems, the Rockets finished 57-25, made it to the Western Conference Finals, and lost to the Utah Jazz on a dagger from John Stockton. The next season, not great. Barkley's numbers dropped to 15 points and nearly 12 rebounds. Injuries were a constant shadow. Houston barely made the playoffs and bowed out in round 1, again to the Jazz, because Payne apparently likes consistency. Then came the Pippen phase. After Drexler retired, the Rockets brought in Scottie Pippen for one more shot at a title. Barkley, Hakeem, and Pippen had the resume, but not the chemistry. Barkley posted 16 points and 12 boards, while Pippen added 14, nearly 6 assists and 2 steals per game. They finished 31-19 in the shortened season, grabbed the 5th seed, and immediately lost to the Lakers in the first round. The tension was thick. Barkley and Pippen clashed off the court, and Pippen was out of Houston after one season. Barkley tried to hang on, but a knee injury in late 1999 ended his run. He suited up for one last game in April 2000, then retired. He gave it multiple tries with multiple Hall of Famers, but the ending stayed the same. No ring, no parade, just numbers, frustration, and a Hall of Fame career without the one thing he chased the hardest. James Harden. On February 10, 2022, he landed in Philadelphia after a trade that sent Ben Simmons and others to Brooklyn. The goal wasn't hidden. Harden wanted a ring, and this was supposed to be the place to get it. He even took less money than he could have earned elsewhere, just to help the Sixers build around Joel Embiid. He made a statement right away. In his debut, he dropped 27 points with 12 assists and 8 rebounds. 2 nights later, he went for 29, 16 assists, and 10 boards. Nobody had ever opened their Sixers career with back-to-back games like that. The playoffs came, and Harden stayed productive. In round 1, he helped knock out the Raptors. Then in round 2, he dropped 31 points to tie the series with Miami, but they didn't make it out. Eliminated in 6, Harden re-signed that summer on a 2-year deal and came back strong. He led the league in assists, while Embiid led in scoring. That had not been done by teammates since 1982. In the next playoffs, Harden put up 45 points in Game 1 and followed that with 42 in Game 4. But it didn't matter. They still lost to Boston in 7 games. No ring. Again. And after the second failed run, Harden's patience evaporated. He went after Sixers president Daryl Morey publicly and demanded out. By November of 2023, he was traded to the Clippers. His relationship with Embiid went cold after that. So what started as a strategic, self-sacrificing ring chase ended with drama, another relocation, and no championship. Harden bet on Philly. He gave them numbers, but the ring still missing. Football season's here, and I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to make it even more exciting. Every game feels bigger when you've got something on the line. And right now, new customers get a deal you don't want to miss. Bet $5, get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Just sign up, place your first $5 bet, and you'll have $200 in bonus bets ready to go. Make sure you use my promo code, Hoops Explained, when you sign up. That's how you unlock the offer. It's quick, it's easy, and it gets you right in the game. What I love about DraftKings is the variety. You can stack up same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout, or dive into live betting, putting money down while the action unfolds. And here's the best part. If sports betting isn't available in your state yet, you can still play through DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and compete for real cash prizes. So don't wait. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with promo code Hoops Explained, and bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most states. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. See DraftKings.com/promos for details. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. In 2023, the Suns pushed every chip forward, grabbing Beal in a 3-team trade to create a new Big Three. The idea was clear. Surround Booker with veteran firepower and chase that elusive championship. Coach Frank Vogel called them one of the best scoring trios in the league. That didn't age well. Despite the hype, the group never won a single playoff game. In the 2024 postseason, they got swept in the first round by Minnesota. First time the Suns got swept in the playoffs in 25 years. 1 year later, they didn't even qualify, finishing 11th in the West with just 36 wins. A super team that couldn't even crack the top 10. Beal's scoring fell off a cliff, just under 18 points per game, down from his usual 22, and he couldn't stay healthy. Durant still put up solid numbers around 26 a night, but it didn't matter. The team's chemistry never clicked, the payroll was bloated, and the depth was non-existent. By summer of 2025, the whole thing fell apart. Durant was traded to Houston in a wild 7-team deal that brought back Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and a top 10 pick. Beal, he got waived. Phoenix just cut ties, ate the money, and let him sign with the Clippers. It was a full reset. Booker's still in Phoenix, but the ring chase with Durant and Beal, total bust. 2 seasons, 0 playoff wins, and a teardown to show for it. The Suns went for a super team and ended with a super mess. Shaq. By the summer of 2009, the days of dominance were behind him, but the desire for one more ring was burning. That's when he landed in Cleveland via trade from Phoenix. His stated goal, win a ring for the king, aka LeBron James. This wasn't about stats anymore. It was a veteran move with a single mission, help deliver a title to Cleveland. The regular season started solid, but in February, Shaq busted his thumb against Boston. Surgery followed in March, sidelining him until the playoffs. He returned, but wasn't the same. The Cavs made it past the Bulls, then got bounced by the Celtics in the second round. No ring, no redemption. That was his only season with Cleveland. Then came Boston. In August of 2010, Shaq signed a veteran minimum deal and made no secret about it. He was ring chasing. This time, he wasn't pretending otherwise. The Celtics had just been to the finals and looked like one last great landing spot, but his body had other plans. Injuries hit hard. Knee, calf, Achilles, you name it. The Celtics even traded Kendrick Perkins expecting Shaq to be the answer, but he could barely stay upright. He played spot minutes when available, but was mostly out of the rotation. His final NBA game came in the 2011 Eastern Conference Finals. Just 3.5 minutes, 0 points. That was the end. 2 teams, 2 shots, 0 results. Cleveland was calculated and hopeful. Boston was desperate and broken. In both cases, Shaq chased one last ring, but the ending didn't change. He left the league with 4 titles, all earned before either of those final stops. Paul George. In the summer of 2024, he left the Clippers and signed a 4-year deal worth $212 million with the 76ers. The contract had a player option for the final season. Media everywhere labeled it a championship push. Philadelphia suddenly looked like a real contender, with George joining Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But while the headlines screamed ring chase, George said he was after the right style of basketball, not just a title. From a front office standpoint, it was a full reset. After years of dysfunction, especially with the Harden saga, the Sixers went all in on building a new trio. On paper, it looked like a top-tier Eastern Conference squad. Then the game started, and the wheels fell off. They opened the season with 3 wins and 13 losses. All 3 stars, George, Embiid, and Maxey, missed time early. The chemistry never got a chance to exist. The final record, 24-58. Not just out of the playoffs, nowhere near. It was their worst season since 2016. George put up numbers when healthy, but injury concerns followed him into Philly. Embiid couldn't stay on the floor either. The trio almost never played extended stretches together, and when they did, it didn't translate to wins. By mid-season, reports surfaced that Philly was exploring trade options for George, concerned about his contract and durability. So what started as a blockbuster signing turned into a breakdown. George went to Philadelphia with a massive deal and championship expectations. But year 1 was a bust. No playoffs, no cohesion, and a growing sense that the gamble might not last long. Another big name ring chase stalling before it even gets going. And this one doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. LaMarcus Aldridge. In March of 2021, he joined the Brooklyn Nets after getting bought out by the Spurs. The plan was simple: veteran depth for a stacked super team chasing a ring. Durant, Irving, Harden, and now Aldridge. But that run didn't last long. Less than 3 weeks after debuting, Aldridge retired. An irregular heartbeat forced him to step away from the game on April 15th. That should have been the end of it. Then came the surprise. In September, he got full medical clearance and officially re-signed with Brooklyn. This time, he lasted the full season. Over 52 games, Aldridge averaged nearly 13 points and 5.5 rebounds, giving them a reliable mid-range scorer and veteran presence off the bench. It was a respectable comeback, quiet but productive. Still, the ring never came. Brooklyn's title hopes collapsed under injuries, inconsistency, and drama. Even with all that firepower, the team didn't deliver. The Aldridge ring chase fizzled out with no hardware, no deep playoff run, and no real impact on the postseason. He retired for good on March 31st, 2023, closing a 16-year career. No championship, just a final chapter with one last push that couldn't overcome the chaos around it. Another veteran star with a decorated resume and nothing to show for it when it came to a ring. Tracy McGrady. On April 16, 2013, after finishing a season in China, he signed with the San Antonio Spurs just before the playoffs. No long lead-up, no regular season adjustment, just a late addition to a contender making a title push. The Spurs went on a deep run, cruising through the West and reaching the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat. McGrady was on the roster the whole time, but saw almost no action. He played in just 2 finals games, totaling 14 minutes and scored 0 points. His presence was ceremonial, a respected veteran brought in for depth, but never called on for real contribution. This was a clear ring chase. After a career full of highlights and heartbreaks, McGrady had never advanced past the first round before. San Antonio gave him that elusive final shot, but when it ended in a 7-game loss to Miami, it was another near miss. Even if they had won, McGrady later said it wouldn't have felt complete. He didn't play a real role, and that mattered to him. He admitted the journey, actually helping carry a team, meant more than a ring handed out at the end. This final chapter didn't rewrite his legacy. It just underlined what had always followed him. A Hall of Fame career filled with talent, setbacks, and unanswered what-ifs. No ring, no redemption arc, just the quiet end of a brilliant player's chase that fell flat at the finish line. Darren Williams. In February of 2017, after getting waived by the Mavericks, he signed with the Cavaliers on a veteran minimum deal, just under $1 million. He joined Cleveland with one goal: get a ring. The Cavs were the defending champs, led by LeBron James, and Williams stepped in to be the backup point guard for the stretch run. In the regular season, he played 24 games, averaging 7.5 points, nearly 4 assists, and close to 2 rebounds a night. Nothing flashy, but he gave them reliable depth and some experience off the bench. Then came the playoffs. Williams suited up for 18 postseason games. He averaged just over 4 points and 1 assist in under 15 minutes per game. His role shrank as the competition got tougher, but he stayed in the rotation through the finals. That's where the chase ended. Cleveland made it back to the finals, but ran into the buzzsaw that was the 2017 Warriors. The Cavs lost in 5 games, and the super team in Golden State shut the door on Williams' best shot at a title. He never got another chance. That run with Cleveland was his last meaningful playoff appearance, and the ring stayed out of reach. So while the move was textbook ring chasing, late season signing, veteran depth, stacked roster, the result didn't follow. D. Will walked away from the NBA without a championship. Chris Webber. In January of 2007, he signed with the Detroit Pistons for the veteran minimum after being bought out by the 76ers. It was more than just a homecoming. It was a ring chase. He called it the best he'd felt in years and made it clear he wanted to end his career with the title. The Pistons hoped he'd be their next Rasheed Wallace-style midseason spark. Detroit finished 53-29, taking the top seed in the East. Even without Ben Wallace, the team looked strong, and Webber's presence helped stabilize the front court. His regular season numbers weren't flashy, but he gave them a steady, efficient option inside. In the playoffs, he averaged around 10 points and 6 rebounds, shooting over 52% from the field. In Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, he showed flashes of the old Webber, 20 points on 9 of 13 shooting, plus 7 boards. He even scored 5 in double overtime, but the Cavs ended it. LeBron and Cleveland took the series in 6 games, ending Detroit's run and Webber's best shot at a ring. That was the final meaningful playoff push of his career. He had the motivation, the opportunity, and a solid role, but it still didn't happen. Another legendary player who got close, but left without a title. The ring chase in Detroit was short, intense, and ultimately unfinished. Andre Drummond. He signed with the Lakers at the end of March 2021 after clearing waivers from Cleveland, and yeah, this move screamed ring chase. The team had LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and championship expectations. Drummond was supposed to be the missing piece inside. He came in with that traditional center energy, rebounding, interior presence, all of it. During the regular season, he started 21 games and averaged nearly 12 points and over 10 rebounds. On paper, solid. He gave them size, and that was a big need at the time. But fitting into that system, not as smooth as they probably hoped. Chemistry never really clicked the way it had to for a title run. In the playoffs, he played in 5 games during the first round series against Phoenix. He averaged 9 points and 11 boards, which honestly looks decent until you realize his impact wasn't shifting anything. The minutes got cut, the trust seemed shaky, and the Lakers as a whole just unraveled. The Suns took them out in 6 games. That ring, nowhere in sight. What made this one sting more was how quickly the hype disappeared. People expected a defensive wall and easy buckets off the glass. What they got was a short run, a tough matchup, and an early exit. Drummond didn't see the floor at all in the elimination game. That probably said enough. So yeah, his title hopes with the Lakers ended fast. The whole thing felt rushed and out of rhythm. And when it was over, Drummond left LA still chasing a ring, just like before he got there. Mike Bibby. In late February of 2011, he gave up over $6 million to leave Washington and chase a title. That's not a small move. He literally walked away from a full year of salary just to go all in on winning a ring. After clearing waivers, Bibby picked the Miami Heat over other top contenders like the Lakers, Celtics, and Spurs. He signed with Miami on March 2nd and jumped right into a pressure cooker, joining a team with LeBron James, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh that was already hunting a title. Once he got there, he didn't just sit on the bench. He became their starting point guard for the playoffs, starting all 20 games. It was a huge opportunity at the tail end of his career. Miami stormed through the East and made it to the finals, setting up a showdown with Dallas. That series didn't go the way they hoped. Miami lost in 6, and Bibby's best shot at a championship was gone. Now, stats-wise, this wasn't prime Bibby. He averaged just 3.6 points per game in the playoffs, the lowest of his entire postseason career. He was clearly past his peak, but he was still trusted with that starting role on the biggest stage. That move was all about chasing that one goal. He gave up money, accepted a smaller role, and put himself in the best possible spot to win. It just didn't happen. The Heat lost, and Bibby finished his career without a ring. That shot with Miami, it was his last real chance. And despite how close they got, it ended just out of reach. Gary Payton. In the summer of 2003, he and Karl Malone made a bold move. They took pay cuts to join the Lakers, teaming up with Kobe Bryant and Shaq. This wasn't about money. It was about one thing, getting that ring. Payton later admitted he and Malone had planned it together, quietly lining up a shot at a title. He played in all 82 games that season, averaging nearly 15 points and over 5 assists. But fitting into Phil Jackson's triangle offense wasn't easy. It took the ball out of his hands more than he liked. Still, when others were out, he stepped up and delivered. The Lakers, even with all the off-court drama and injuries, ended with 56 wins and grabbed the top spot in their division. Come playoff time, Payton's role shifted. His scoring dipped down to under 8 points per game. He still had a couple standout games in the Western rounds, but it wasn't consistent. The Lakers powered through the West and made it to the finals. Then came Detroit. The Pistons shut everything down. That super team lost the series in 5 games. No championship, no ring. After that collapse, the Lakers broke apart. Phil Jackson left, Shaq got traded, Malone retired, and Peyton was sent to Boston. The ring he chased so hard in LA, it didn't happen. But a few years later in Miami, Peyton finally got it. He accepted a bench role, played within the system, and in 2006, helped the Heat win it all. That ring came later than expected, but he got it, just not in purple and gold. Jerry Stackhouse. In October of 2010, the Miami Heat needed depth. Mike Miller was dealing with an injury, so they brought in Stackhouse right before the season started. He signed on October 23rd, hoping to add veteran presence to a team that was fully loaded. At that point in his career, it was obvious. He was chasing a ring. He didn't say it out loud, but it didn't need to be said. Everyone saw it. He got on the floor for just 7 games and started only once. In total, he played 50 minutes. Not 50 per game, 50 minutes total. That's barely more than a full game. He put up just over 2 points a night, grabbed 5 rebounds per game, and chipped in a couple assists. It was a quiet, short run. Still, his per-minute stats weren't bad. Per 36 minutes, he was on pace for close to 9 points, 5 boards, and over 2 assists. But the minutes never came. Miami waived him on November 23rd. Exactly 1 month later, he never suited up again for them. No playoffs, no real shot, no championship. That Heat team was gearing up for a deep run, but Stackhouse didn't make it past the first checkpoint. This one stung a little because the move had promise. The roster was title-worthy. Stackhouse had history, but timing didn't line up. He was brought in as a stopgap, and when they found other solutions, his chapter closed fast. The ring chase ended before it ever really began. A former All-Star, chasing a dream, and gone in a month. That was it. No ring, no moment, just a whisper of a shot at glory. Stat. In July of 2015, he signed with the Miami Heat on a 1-year veteran minimum deal, clearly hoping for one last shot at a title. By then, the injuries had piled up, but the hope was still there. He joined a competitive roster, looking to add depth to the front court and give it one more run. Right out of the gate, things were rocky. Stat battled knee soreness early on, and he played in just one of Miami's first 10 games. But when he did get minutes, he made the most of them. On November 19th, he dropped 10 points in only 8 minutes. Later in the season, on January 31st, he filled in for an injured teammate and delivered 13 points and 12 boards. Just a couple days later, he followed that up with 14 more points. His role stayed limited though, and when the playoffs came, he wasn't a regular in the rotation. Still, he made one final appearance. Game 5 of the Eastern semifinals against Toronto. He started the game, but only logged 3 minutes, grabbing a rebound and a steal. Miami lost that game and went on to drop the series in 7. After that season, Stat called it. He signed a symbolic deal with New York to retire with the Knicks and officially walked away from the league. His 14-year career came to a close without a championship. For a player who once dominated the paint and electrified arenas, the ring chase in Miami was quiet, short-lived, and ultimately came up short. A strong veteran presence, a hopeful final shot, and then it was over. No ring, no fairy tale ending, just the end of the run. Doc Rivers' Magic tenure. Doc's time in Orlando started strong, but by the end, things got ugly. He coached the Magic from 1999 through 2003, even snagging Coach of the Year in 2000. But once that final season hit, it all crumbled. They started with 1 win and 10 losses, then dropped 19 straight, tying the worst losing streak in franchise history. That's when Doc got fired, right after that 10th loss. And somehow it got worse from there. The locker room didn't just fall apart, it turned into a full-blown circus. Reports from major outlets said players flat out ignored Doc during games. They ditched play calls, tuned out his instructions, and basically ran their own show. And it wasn't just on the court. Inside practice sessions, total chaos. Details were leaking to reporters like it was a soap opera, and some players were accused of faking injuries just to sit out. That kind of stuff doesn't just happen because of bad luck. It's deeper than that. He had some rough patches with the coaching staff, young guys acting out, and coaching that couldn't reel it in. Blaming just one guy doesn't cover it. Doc lost the locker room, and that team completely fell apart. Bonzi Wells, Jailblazers era. Bonzi was right in the thick of one of the wildest chapters in Portland's history. During the 2001 and 2002 seasons, he was a key part of that team, putting up around 17 points, 6 rebounds, and more than 1 steal a game. He followed that with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 2 steals the next year. But his performance wasn't what got people talking. It was everything else. That era of Trailblazers basketball earned the nickname Jailblazers for a reason. Bonzi wasn't alone in the mess, but his name showed up a lot. He got suspended for mouthing off to a coach, spitting on another player, throwing obscene gestures, and even punching an official. None of that helped the team's image, and it definitely didn't help his relationship with fans or the front office. Now, there's a rumor that Bonzi once skipped a game in 2002, claiming to be mentally drained after partying until dawn at a strip club. And even though that tale might fit the chaos of the era, the team was dealing with issues across the board. Players like Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire, and Chintel Woods all had their own legal or disciplinary troubles. Lenny Cook versus LeBron James, ABCD camp. Back in July 2001, at the legendary ABCD camp, run by Sonny Vaccaro and backed by Adidas, everything changed for two high school stars. Lenny Cook, who was ranked higher than any other player in the country, went head-to-head with the rising junior named LeBron James. And that's when it all shifted. LeBron stole the spotlight, hit the game winner, and left scouts buzzing. That moment became the start of their wildly different paths. LeBron to stardom, Cook to obscurity. Now here's where things get murky. For years, Cook's camp has insisted the matchup was tilted from the start. They claimed refs were favoring LeBron, that the game schedule got shuffled to mess with Cook's rest, and that the whole setup felt off. Coaches, friends, and even documentary filmmakers have echoed these complaints, saying the system wasn't exactly neutral. But even with all that noise, nothing's been confirmed. There's no official proof that LeBron's people rigged anything. Sure, LeBron had heavy backing at the time, with powerful names like William Wesley already helping build the brand, but nobody's shown receipts or game plans. Sonny Vaccaro's even said the camp sometimes leaned toward boosting stars, but he's never directly admitted any bias for LeBron. The NBA, completely silent on the whole thing. They never sanctioned the camp, so they've stayed out of it. What we're left with is a moment frozen in basketball lore. Cook fell off the radar not long after. LeBron rose like a rocket. The conspiracy lives on, but in terms of hard facts, it's all suggestion, no confirmation. Still, that game changed everything. Marko Jaric allegation in Philadelphia. Back in February 2009, things got tense for Marko Jaric. While the Memphis Grizzlies were in Philadelphia for a game against the Sixers, a woman came forward accusing him of sexual assault. What made it more intense? Jaric had just married Adriana Lima on Valentine's Day, literally days before the allegation surfaced. The timing was chaotic, and the media latched onto the headline. But after a full investigation, the Philadelphia district attorney decided not to press any charge. They cited a lack of evidence and said the case didn't meet the threshold for prosecution. Jaric's lawyer wasted no time calling the claim completely false, saying it had no legal merit and pushing back hard on any suggestion of wrongdoing. Now, there's been a ton of confusion online about this case. Some people have spread versions saying it happened in 2014 or in Brazil. That's all wrong. It wasn't Brazil, and it wasn't 5 years later. Everything happened in Philadelphia in 2009, and there's no record of any other accusations involving Jaric anywhere else. Also, there's no proof that the NBA made any comment about the incident. They stayed silent, which makes sense since Jaric wasn't exactly front-page material in league circles. And no, there's nothing to suggest his name was erased from coverage or that the league tried to bury the story. His career faded, but that's pretty standard for role players once their production dips. So yes, the allegation was real, the legal response was real, but no charges were filed, and there's no official record of anything being swept under the rug. The facts are public, and they don't support the deeper conspiracies people love to spin. Tony Roten and The Process. Tony Roten didn't just play through the chaos in Philadelphia. He later dropped one of the biggest bombshells about what was really going on behind the scenes. Years after his time with the Sixers, Roten publicly admitted the team handed out fake injury designations. Yep, he said it himself. In an interview, he recalled being told, "You're fine, but you're not playing." Let that sink in. Medically cleared, no real injury, and still stuck on the bench. Roten's claim lines up with what a lot of people suspected during the Sixers' infamous Process era. That was the long, deliberate tank job, orchestrated by then general manager Sam Hinkie. And while plenty of folks called out the strategy for being bad for the league, Roten added a whole new layer to the story. He didn't have a reason to sugarcoat anything post-career, so what he shared sounded a lot more believable than just fan speculation. What's wild is the NBA never launched a formal investigation. Sure, the league stepped in around 2015 and brought Jerry Colangelo into the front office to make things look more competitive, but they never addressed Roten's claim directly. No fines, no press conferences, nothing. Just business as usual. Other players also aired their frustrations with how they were treated, especially with injuries and playing time, but none of them went as far as saying the team flat out faked injuries. That was Roten alone. So while the Sixers were losing games on purpose, they might have also been sidelining healthy players just to make it all work. Roten's words peeled back the curtain on how deep the process really went. Glenn Robinson, AAU gun incident. After retiring from the NBA, Glenn Big Dog Robinson stepped into youth coaching, thinking he'd pass on some knowledge. What he didn't expect was to have a gun pulled on him during an AAU game. Yeah, that actually happened. In a 2015 radio interview, Robinson shared the story. He was coaching, emotions got hot, and a parent, furious over either a call or playing time, escalated fast. Right there in the gym, in front of kids, parents, and players, the guy pulled a gun. Robinson said it was one of the most shocking moments of his life, not just because of the threat, but because no one in the gym did anything. No parents stepped in. No one tried to de-escalate. That silence hit harder than the confrontation itself. He pointed to it as proof that grassroots basketball had gone completely sideways. Too much money, too little structure, and way too many out-of-control parents treating games like high-stakes showdown. Now here's the kicker. Despite being a former #1 pick and NBA champion, Robinson's story never made national waves. Major outlets ignored it. No public reaction from the NBA, USA Basketball, or even AAU organizations. No policy talk, no outrage, just silence. Robinson didn't give names or specific details, which probably helped keep it under wraps legally, but it doesn't make it any less real. The whole thing shows just how wild the youth basketball scene can get. Even a respected former pro wasn't safe from that chaos. And if someone like Robinson can be put in that kind of danger without it making headlines, what does that say about the environment everyone else is dealing with? Allen Iverson, hotel robbery lawsuit. In 2009, Allen Iverson found himself in the middle of a serious off-court mess. A man named Guy Walker accused Iverson's entourage of robbing him inside an Atlanta hotel. The claim that Iverson's bodyguard and a few associates assaulted Walker and stole $60,000 worth of jewelry after some kind of dispute. Iverson himself wasn't accused of laying hands on anyone, but he was named in the civil lawsuit because, well, it was his crew. Authorities looked into it, but the criminal side went nowhere. No charges were filed. The story didn't have enough clear evidence to pin anything directly on Iverson. Conflicting accounts made it impossible to get a conviction, and prosecutors backed off. Still, that didn't stop the civil lawsuit. Walker pushed for damages, and eventually, the case was settled quietly out of court. No numbers released, no public details, just a legal whisper that it was over. What's wild is how little attention this story got. Iverson was bouncing around the league during that time. Brief stints with Memphis, and then back to Philly. So the media was more focused on his fading career than the legal drama. The NBA? Silent. No statements. No comments. No reaction at all. It was treated like background noise, even though it involved an alleged assault and a pile of stolen jewelry. This whole thing fits into a larger pattern of incidents around Iverson's later years. Plenty of off-court issues, very few headlines. The league stayed hands-off, and the story never exploded like you'd expect. But yeah, it happened. It just slid under the radar. Rafer Alston, triple arrest offseason. In the summer of 2007, Rafer Alston managed to pull off something almost no other active NBA starter has done. He got arrested 3 different times in just 6 weeks. First, in Houston, he was accused of assaulting a valet after an argument about his car. According to reports, it escalated to shoving and even spitting on the guy. Not a great look. 2 weeks later, he got into a public fight outside a nightclub in Manhattan and landed in police custody again. Then in early September, he wrapped things up with a DUI arrest in Atlanta. So that's 3 different cities, 3 different charges, all while still under contract with the Houston Rockets. And what did the NBA do? Absolutely nothing. No suspension, no fine, no official statement. He went right into the 2007 to 2008 season and started in 74 games. That's right, despite all that drama, he held on to his starting spot without missing a beat. The media didn't make much of it either. A few short articles popped up, but there were no deep dives or big network debates. Most of it got treated like minor side notes. The league stayed silent, and the public moved on. Somehow, 3 arrests in one offseason just floated by. Alston's situation didn't seem to affect his career at all in the short term. He stayed in the rotation, stayed on the court, and played like nothing ever happened. It's one of those cases that shows how different the response can be when a player's name isn't dominating headlines. 3 arrests, no suspension, no noise. Just another weird chapter in NBA offseason history. New Jersey Nets draft report allegations. I will say, this one is more of a theory. During the mid-2000s through the early 2010s, the Nets front office was a total circus. The team was constantly under fire for bad drafting, leadership that couldn't hold a direction, and what insiders later described as a toxic scouting culture. Behind the scenes, former executives and scouts started whispering that not everything was above board when it came to draft decisions. One former scout even admitted that he was asked to inflate the value of certain international players. He didn't name names or say money changed hands, but said the orders came from upstairs, and the reasoning had nothing to do with talent. Some of those scouting reports allegedly written after the picks were made, just to make everything look planned. It's like editing the recipe after you already burned the cake. There's no hard proof the Nets were paying scouts under the table to fake evaluations, but that's what people started to believe. And considering how wild and unregulated international scouting was back then, it doesn't sound far-fetched. Multiple ex-general managers from around the league even hinted this kind of stuff wasn't unique to the Nets, but they were mentioned more than once for boosting fringe Euro prospects with oddly glowing reviews. Despite all the finger-pointing and anonymous quotes, the NBA never investigated, never punished anyone, and basically acted like nothing happened. The draft flops kept piling up, and the excuses came right behind them. So while no one ever proved that the Nets paid for fake scouting reports, what's out there paints a pretty messy picture. It fits right in with the rest of the team's dysfunction during those years. Michael Beasley, agent benefits lawsuit. In late 2011, Michael Beasley filed a civil lawsuit against his former agent, Joel Bell, not just for fraud, but for a deeper pattern of misconduct that stretched back to Beasley's high school and college years. According to the suit, Bell had secretly provided significant personal benefits to Beasley's mother, including housing, a car, and cash, all while Beasley was still an amateur. These weren't disclosed to Beasley when they happened. He claimed he only found out later, after turning pro, and that the whole setup was designed to lock in his future representation without his full understanding or consent. The moment he realized what had gone on behind his back, he terminated the agreement in 2008. That led to a legal battle where both sides aired out years of tension and backroom dealings. Bell's camp responded with a countersuit, and court documents revealed the scope of the early benefits and how they tied into the larger dispute. Beasley accused Bell of exploiting his family relationship for future gain, and the suit portrayed the arrangement as not just unethical, but potentially damaging to Beasley's NCAA eligibility and early career. Despite the seriousness of the allegations and the clear paper trail, the story never caught fire in the national media. It stayed tucked into legal filings and specialist coverage, mostly ignored by mainstream outlets. No official statement ever came from the NBA, and the fallout stayed out of the spotlight. But make no mistake, the benefits happened, the lawsuit was real, and Beasley's accusations added one more layer to the long list of early career exploitation cases in modern basketball. Hugh Hollins' referee disappearance. Hugh Hollins wasn't just another whistleblower. He was one of the most respected officials in the NBA through the 90s. Over 2,000 games, 12 straight finals appearances, and high ratings from players cemented his status. But then around 1999, he was just gone. No farewell tour, no retirement press release, not even a quietly posted statement. For a guy who'd been that visible, the silence was deafening. There was no scandal, no suspension, no official discipline ever mentioned, just a sudden exit. And that's where the whispers started. People close to the league, including former refs, started connecting dots. They said Hollins was known for being outspoken, for not always towing the company line, at a time when David Stern was tightening his grip on the league's image, especially around officiating. That kind of attitude didn't sit well. Multiple insiders have since hinted there were internal memos floating around during that era, telling refs how to handle star players, playoff fouls, and even game pace. Hollins was reportedly one of the refs who pushed back. He didn't go along with the idea that games should be shaped for marketability, and he may have paid the price for that. There's no public proof of a blackballing, but the way Hollins vanished fits the pattern that others from that era have described. Quiet removal, political enforcement behind the scenes. The league never commented, and the media didn't dig, but the mystery still lingers. Hollins had the resume to stay on. Instead, he disappeared without a word, and the people who were there, they're still saying he didn't walk away by choice. Jalen Rose, suspension. On March 11th, 2011, Jalen Rose crashed his Cadillac Escalade during snowy conditions in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Turns out, he was driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.12, well over the legal limit. He got arrested and charged with operating while intoxicated. But the real twist came after the crash. Rose didn't tell ESPN right away. He kept the arrest under wraps for weeks, and the story only came out once local Michigan outlets started picking it up. By that point, ESPN was caught off guard. They issued a quiet suspension, kept things internal, and never made a big public announcement. It was handled more like a company memo than a national headline. Rose ended up pleading guilty and was sentenced to 20 days in jail. He served 16 of those days in August that year. Despite the seriousness of the situation, the coverage stayed minimal. ESPN's on-air team didn't talk about it. The NBA had nothing to say, and the entire situation faded from the spotlight fast. For a former NBA star turned media personality, it could have been a bigger deal. But the network didn't make noise, and national outlets mostly moved on. Rose went right back to broadcasting after serving his time. No public fallout, no panel debates, just a short disappearance, and then business as usual. It's one of those moments that shows how quietly things can be handled when the cameras aren't rolling, and how even serious incidents can slip through the cracks if no one's pushing to keep them in the spotlight. James Wiseman, suspension. In 2019, James Wiseman's college career took a hit before it even got going. Back in 2017, Penny Hardaway, who was coaching AAU at the time, paid $11,500 to help Wiseman's family move from Nashville to Memphis. It didn't raise eyebrows then, but once Hardaway became the head coach at Memphis, took a different view. Because Hardaway had donated $1 million to the university years earlier, the NCAA labeled him a booster. That meant the payment, even though it was for moving expenses, counted as an impermissible benefit. So once Wiseman hit the floor in 2019, the NCAA stepped in fast. They ruled him ineligible and tried to suspend him for the entire season. Memphis pushed back, got a court injunction, and let him play for a little while. Eventually, the NCAA won out. Wiseman was hit with a 12-game suspension and had to donate that same $11,500 to a charity of his choice. Memphis also took a slap on the wrist. 3 years of probation, a couple of vacated wins, and a small fine. No postseason ban, and Hardaway avoided personal penalties. The NBA stayed completely out of it, and the story got swept up in the usual NCAA drama about uneven enforcement. No one accused Wiseman of breaking rules on purpose, and there was no criminal side to it. He declared for the draft not long after and went second overall to Golden State. So yeah, money was involved, but it wasn't some big scandal. It was a messy NCAA technicality that didn't derail his path at all. Gilbert Arenas, gambling dispute. The gun incident in the Wizards locker room back in 2009 didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of a gambling feud gone completely off the rail. At the center of it was Boo-Ray, a high-stakes card game that had become a full-on addiction for a lot of players, especially on flights and in locker rooms. Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton weren't just teammates. They were gambling rivals, and according to multiple sources, one game got way too serious. Insiders said Arenas owed Crittenton a large debt. Some claimed it was close to $1 million. That number was never officially confirmed, but it didn't need to be. Tensions were so high that when Arenas started joking about it, the situation exploded. He brought guns into the locker room and laid them out like it was some kind of poker table with props. Crittenton responded by pulling out his own weapon, and suddenly the Wizards had an active threat situation between two of their own players. The NBA suspended both players for the rest of the season, and Arenas was hit with felony gun charges. He pleaded guilty and got probation. But the real story wasn't just the guns, it was the gambling. Arenas himself later admitted the Boo-Ray games got out of control, and that gambling was a huge part of the locker room culture. It wasn't just friendly competition, it was real money, real pressure, and in this case, real consequences. The league never officially mentioned the debt or the gambling angle in their disciplinary actions, but the players knew. That card game didn't just end a friendship, it ended careers. The guns were the headline, but the gambling was the root. Mark Jackson's situation. Mark Jackson was the head coach of the Golden State Warriors from 2011 to 2014, and behind the scenes, things got seriously tense. Multiple credible insiders and top-tier journalists say Jackson made homophobic remarks toward Rick Welts, the team's president. Welts wasn't just any executive, he was the first openly gay executive in major American pro sports. So yeah, this wasn't just a casual comment or awkward moment. According to reports from both Adrian Wojnarowski and Ethan Strauss, Jackson allegedly referred to Welts as evil in team settings. Not a slip-up, a pattern. He didn't stop there. Jackson often brought his personal religious views right into team decisions. That didn't exactly sit well with the Warriors front office. It built this awkward environment where staff and execs felt like they were constantly walking on eggshells. The tension wasn't only about the remarks toward Welts. People inside the organization also felt like Jackson was pushing a divisive and uncomfortable atmosphere throughout the workplace. That discomfort became a real factor when it came time to make changes. While the team never publicly admitted that this situation led to his firing, it's pretty clear it played a big role. The Warriors just said there were philosophical differences. The NBA stayed quiet. No statements, no investigation, nothing. Jackson has always denied doing anything wrong, and he's had support from some of his players, including Steph Curry. But even with that, multiple trustworthy reports confirmed the remarks happened. It was never addressed officially, but insiders with first-hand knowledge say the comments were very real, and they helped fuel the fire that ended his time with the team. Rashid Wallace referee allegations. Rasheed Wallace didn't exactly hold back when talking about NBA referees. He's gone on record multiple times saying refs favor the teams that bring in the most money, attention, and ratings. And yeah, he's serious. He believes games are influenced by what he calls the bag, meaning the teams with stars, sponsors, and media hype tend to get the calls. Now, while the exact phrase, refs call, games based on the bag might have been tweaked by fans online, the message hasn't changed. Wallace has shared this view across interviews, podcasts, and YouTube shows. He's even named specific refs like Scott Foster, calling them company men who help protect the league's image. That's not the kind of thing you just casually drop unless you really believe it. Sports outlets and commentary channels have run with it too, highlighting how Wallace insists the league's branding and money influence how games are called. That part definitely confirmed. But here's the catch. There's no hard evidence, no investigations, no league response. Nothing official ever came down, and Wallace didn't face any penalty. So yeah, this is all based on his first-hand perspective, not a verified expose. But the man clearly believes it, and he's been consistent about it for years. The bigger the stars, the more money at stake. According to him, the better the calls. Whether or not there's proof, the allegations have kept his theory alive in sports circles. The phrase might have evolved, but the idea behind it, that's straight from Wallace himself, no doubt about it. Carlos Boozer, tampering allegation. Back in July of 2010, Carlos Boozer signed a 5-year deal worth around $75 million with the Chicago Bulls. Pretty standard, right? Except it all happened suspiciously fast. That speed sparked a whole wave of speculation. People in NBA circles started whispering that the Bulls might have jumped the gun and contacted Boozer's camp before free agency officially opened. If true, that would have been tampering. And this wasn't just fan chatter. Reporters from major outlets like ESPN and Yahoo Sports called out the timing. Several league executives also raised eyebrows. The deal came together so quickly, it looked like there might have been some unofficial talks before July 1st, what some called backdoor discussions. That's a big no-no under league rules. But here's where it fizzles out. The NBA didn't punish the Bulls. In fact, the league didn't even launch an official investigation. The word was, there wasn't any evidence to move forward. No leaked texts, no meetings on record, no taped phone calls. So while the suspicion stuck around, nothing came from it. That left the whole thing hanging in limbo. The deal went through, the Bulls got their guy, and the NBA moved on. Boozer never confirmed anything shady, and no one in the league came out with proof. So yeah, the tampering chatter was real, and a lot of people believed it. But in the end, it stayed exactly that, talk. No fines, no suspensions, no formal ruling. Just one of those NBA mysteries that never really got solved, but never completely faded either. Michael Ray Richardson comments. In March of 2007, Michael Ray Richardson, who was coaching the Albany Patroons in the Continental Basketball Association, made anti-Semitic remarks during a press conference. And these weren't secondhand quotes or vague allegations. His comments were recorded and published by major outlets like CBS News and the New York Times. He said, "Straight up, I've got big-time Jew lawyers. They are real crafty, just like the Jews are. I don't trust them, and they don't trust me." That's not a misquote. That's what he told reporters on the record. The fallout came fast. The CBA immediately suspended him, and not long after, the Patroons fired him. Richardson tried to walk it back by saying the comment was a joke. He pointed out that he had Jewish friends and Jewish lawyers, but yeah, that did nothing to stop the backlash. The NBA didn't respond publicly, probably because Richardson wasn't in the league at the time. But even without an official league comment, his relationship with the NBA completely vanished. He was a 4-time All-Star and once a top draft pick, but you won't see him involved in league events or featured in media coverage anymore. Since then, he stayed active in coaching, mostly overseas or in lower profile situations. But back in North America, his career never bounced back in any meaningful way. So this wasn't just a moment that sparked headlines. It had real, lasting consequences. The comments were offensive, widely reported, and got him fired. And while the NBA kept its distance, Richardson's absence from its spotlight says a lot about how serious the situation was. Moses Brown, in ESPN's class of 2018 rankings, he landed at number 15 overall, standing out as one of the top centers in the nation. He was ahead of Darius Garland and Emmanuel Quickley, and among big men, he only trailed Bol Bol. At Archbishop Malloy in New York City, his senior year was huge. After a massive growth spurt, he grabbed the CHSAA League MVP, became the school's first McDonald's All-American since 1989. When it came time for college, he chose UCLA over powerhouse programs like Kentucky and Maryland. His freshman year, strong enough to earn him a spot on the Pac-12 All-Freshman team, and he made a statement in his debut with 19 points and 17 rebounds. The pro jump wasn't smooth. He went undrafted in 2019, but still found his way onto NBA rosters in Portland, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, LA, Brooklyn, Indiana, and Dallas. In the G League with Westchester, he stacked honors like first team in 2021, second team in 2025, plus 2 all-defensive team selections, and even a Winter Showcase championship in 2024. Josh Jackson. As an 8th grader at Detroit Consortium College Prep, he was already putting up 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. By freshman year, he helped his team reach the Michigan Class C quarterfinals with 18 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, plus strong defense stats with steals and blocks. His sophomore season was even bigger, leading Consortium to its first state title while averaging 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. Then came prolific prep in Napa for his junior year, where he posted over 31 points, nearly 18 rebounds, and more than 5 assists per game, starting all 36 contests and guiding the team to 29 wins. He became co-MVP of the 2016 McDonald's All-American game, scoring 19 in the West 114-107 win. In ESPN's final rankings for that class, he was number 2, behind Harry Giles, but ahead of names like Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox, Bam, Malik Monk, and Frank Jackson. At Kansas, he averaged over 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, earning multiple honors. Drafted 4th in 2017 by Phoenix, his pro career moved across several teams, never matching that high school dominance. TJ Leaf at Foothills Christian in El Cajon, he piled up 3,022 points and 1,476 rebounds, ranking 2nd all-time in the San Diego section. As a senior, he averaged 28.4 points, 12.4 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and over 3 steals, while shooting 68%. He had monster performances like 36 points with 11 boards, 6 assists, and 6 blocks in the section final, plus a 44-point game against Lonzo Ball's Chino Hills squad. A McDonald's All-American, he also earned USA Today Second Team All-America honors and multiple Player of the Year awards. ESPN ranked him 13th nationally in the class of 2016, right ahead of Wenyen Gabriel. At UCLA, he played 1 season, averaging over 16 points and 8 rebounds, while leading the conference in field goal percentage and finishing 2nd in 3.000 percentage. Drafted 18th in 2017 by Indiana, he averaged 3.3 points over 146 NBA games before moving overseas. In China's CBA, he put up over 20 points and 12 rebounds. And in 2025, he signed with Maccabi Tel Aviv. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kevin Knox. At Tampa Catholic, his junior year was massive with 30.1 points, 11.2 rebounds, and over 2 assists a game, leading the squad to regional and district titles and a state semifinal run. As a senior, he put up 28.5 points and 11.3 rebounds, winning Florida Mr. Basketball while making the McDonald's All-American and Jordan Brand Classic rosters. On the EYBL circuit, he averaged 19.6 points and 7.6 rebounds. Ranked 7th nationally in the 2017 ESPN 100, he was listed as the 2nd best small forward behind Michael Porter Jr., with players like PJ Washington, Nick Richards, Jared Vanderbilt, and Shea behind him. At Kentucky, he averaged about 15.9 points, earned first-team All-SEC and SEC Freshman of the Year honors, and helped win the SEC tournament. Drafted 9th overall in 2018 by New York, he scored 12.8 a night as a rookie, but saw reduced roles afterward. Strong G League play led to a 2025 deal with Golden State, where he contributed off the bench and showed persistence through his career ups and downs. Stanley Johnson. At Mater Dei High in Santa Ana, he helped win 4 straight CIF Division I state titles from freshman through senior year. As a senior, he averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.5 steals, while leading the team to a perfect 35-0 record and a Max Preps national championship. The year before, he posted 19.4 points and nearly 9 rebounds as the squad went 34-2. As a sophomore, he scored over 13 a game and grabbed 7.5 boards, while Mater Dei repeated as state champs. His career total of 2,285 points ranks 3rd in school history. In the 2014 ESPN 100, he was 7th overall and the top-ranked small forward, ahead of Justin Jackson and Karl Anthony Towns. At Arizona, he averaged 13.8 points and 6.5 rebounds, earning first-team All-Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and the Julius Erving Award. Drafted 8th in 2015 by Detroit, he played for multiple NBA teams before moving overseas, now suiting up for Nagasaki Velka in Japan's B-League. Sam Decker. At Sheboygan Lutheran, his senior season brought Wisconsin Gatorade Player of the Year, Parade First Team All-American, and Wisconsin Mr. Basketball Honors. He led the school to its first WIAA state title, scoring 40 in the championship, including the last 12 points and the game-winning 3 with 2 seconds left. In the 2012 ESPN 100, he was ranked 17th overall, ahead of future NBA players Glenn Robinson III, Daniel House, and Rodney Hood. At Wisconsin, he played 3 seasons, averaging 12.1 points and 5 rebounds across 113 games. As a junior, he was named to the All-Big Ten second team and was West Regional Most Outstanding Player after big NCAA tournament performances, including 27 points in the Elite Eight. Drafted 18th in 2015 by Houston, he played 5 NBA seasons with multiple teams, averaging 5.5 points and 3 rebounds in 201 games. Overseas, he found more success, winning the FIBA Europe Cup in Turkey, earning MVP awards in the British Basketball League with London, and signing with Juventud Badalona in Spain, where he's continued to put up strong numbers. Trevon Duval. He started at St. Benedict's Prep in New Jersey, where as a sophomore, he dropped 25 points and 8 assists in a state final. After a stop at Advanced Preparatory International in Texas, he finished at IMG Academy in Florida, averaging 16.1 points and 7.5 assists, while leading them to a 26-2 record. He was a McDonald's All-American and played in the Jordan Brand Classic. In the 2017 ESPN 100, he ranked 6th overall and first among point guards, ahead of future NBA names like Jaren Jackson, Shea, Trae Young, and Colin Sexton. At Duke, he averaged 10.3 points and 5.6 assists, finishing 3rd all-time among Duke freshmen in assists per game and 4th in total assists. Despite that, he went undrafted in 2018, the first one and done Duke player to do so. He signed a 2-way deal with Milwaukee, split time with the Wisconsin Herd in the G League, and later played overseas, including joining Manisa in Turkey in 2023. Tony Roughton. At Garfield High in Seattle, he averaged over 20 points, 8 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists as a freshman, becoming the first freshman ever named to the All-Washington State Class First Team. He followed with 17.6 points and 6.4 rebounds as a sophomore, missed his junior year with an ACL injury from football, then returned to average 25 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.1 assists as a senior. He was a 5-star recruit, ranked 14th nationally by Rivals and 16th in the 2011 ESPN 100, ahead of future NBA players like Otto Porter and Quinn Cook. At Washington, he averaged about 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 3.7 assists in one season, earning Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and first-team All-Pac-12 honors. Drafted 25th in 2012 by Memphis, he played 145 NBA games, averaging 11.1 points. With Philadelphia, he posted a triple-double in his first start and had a season at nearly 17 points per game before another ACL injury. His career continued in the G League and overseas with stops in Europe, Africa, and South America. Diamondstone. At Dominican High in Wisconsin, he led his team to 4 straight WIAA Division IV state titles, finishing his senior year with 24.4 points, 11.7 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game. His career total hit 2,193 points, and he set a state record with 14 blocks in a semifinal, adding 15 points and 15 rebounds for a triple-double. A McDonald's All-American, he scored 14 points on 7 for 9 shooting in that game and earned Wisconsin Associated Press Player of the Year. Ranked 7th nationally in the 2015 ESPN 106th by Rival, he was the second-best center in the class and the top player from Wisconsin, ahead of future NBA names like Cheek Diallo, Henry Ellenson, and Dwayne Bacon. At Maryland, he averaged 12.5 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks as a freshman, earning Big Ten honors and setting the school's freshman scoring record with 39 points. Drafted 40th in 2016, he played just 7 NBA games, then spent time in the G League and overseas, most recently joining Pristina in Kosovo. PJ Hairston. He played at Dudley High in Greensboro before finishing at Hargrave Military Academy, where as a senior, he averaged 25.6 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists. As a junior, he had a 53-point game, and he scored 15 in the 2011 McDonald's All-American game. A 5-star recruit, ESPN ranked him 13th nationally and 3rd among shooting guards in the class of 2011, with the recruiting service's consensus index placing him 11th overall. At North Carolina, he averaged 5.7 points as a freshman, then jumped to 14.6 with better shooting numbers as a sophomore, earning ACC Co-Player of the Week during the season. That summer, he was suspended and ultimately did not return for his junior year. In the D-League with the Texas Legends, he averaged 21.8 points, making history as the first D-League player drafted in the first round when Miami took him 26th in 2014 and traded him to Charlotte. He averaged about 6 points over 111 NBA games with the Hornets and Grizzlies, had a brief G-League return, and retired after the 2016-17 season. LeBron Nash. At Lincoln High in Dallas, he was a McDonald's All-American, Texas Mr. Basketball, and a second Team Parade All-American in 2011. Rivals ranked him 6th nationally, Scout had him 8th, and he was among the top small forwards in the ESPNU 100, placing him ahead of numerous future NBA players. At Oklahoma State, he became the first in school history to win Big 12 Freshman of the Year, averaging 14.6 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.7 assists over 4 seasons. He earned multiple All-Big 12 honors, finished 21st in career points at OSU with 1,307, logged 68 double-figure scoring games, and started 55 straight contests. After going undrafted in 2015, he joined the Fukushima Firebonds in Japan, setting a league record with 54 points in a single game. His career took him to the NBA, G League, South Korea, Israel, Mexico, Uruguay, Indonesia, and the Philippines, though height rules kept him from playing there. He's been a prolific scorer overseas, but his peak spotlight came during those high school years when he was one of the most hyped recruits in the country. James Michael McAdoo. At Norfolk Christian in Virginia, he averaged 22.5 points and 9.9 rebounds as a junior, then 21.6 and 8.1 as a senior, winning back-to-back state titles and Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year both seasons. He was a USA Today first-team All-American, a Parade third-team All-American, and co-MVP of both the 2011 McDonald's All-American Game and the Jordan Brand Classic. Ranked 6th nationally in the 2011 ESPN 100, he was a 5-star recruit and rated above future NBA star Bradley Beal. At North Carolina, he scored 1,232 points in 108 games over 3 seasons, averaging as many as 14.4 in his sophomore year and earning all ACC honors in his junior season before declaring for the draft. Undrafted in 2014, he joined Golden State, splitting time with their D-League affiliate and winning both NBA and D-League titles in 2015, then another NBA title in 2017. He played 111 NBA games before continuing his career in Italy, Turkey, Serbia, and Japan. Lenny Cook. He didn't even start playing organized basketball until 16, but at LaSalle Academy in Manhattan, he was already putting up 20 points and 11 rebounds a game. In the summer of 2000, he took underclassmen MVP at the Adidas A-BCD camp, one of the top showcases for high school talent. By 2001, ESPN ranked him second among all seniors, behind Carmelo Anthony and ahead of Stat, Raymond Felton, and Chris Bosh. That summer, some scouts even had him ahead of both Carmelo and LeBron James. His senior season was cut to just 8 games because of eligibility issues, but he still averaged 31.5 points and 15 rebounds. Prep Star's Recruiter's Handbook had him 4th in the nation. Despite the hype, he declared for the 2002 NBA draft and went undrafted, never appearing in an NBA game. His story became the subject of the documentary Lenny Cook, which premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2013. It contrasted his peak as a top-ranked prospect with the reality of what followed, making him one of basketball's most discussed what could have been stories. Shia Cotton. By 6th grade, he was 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, and dunking with ease, drawing national attention before he even entered high school. At Mater Day, his sophomore year was legendary. 24 points and 10 rebounds a game, a 36-1 record, a state title, and the distinction of being the only sophomore ever named Cal High Sports Division 1 State Player of the Year. He also earned Parade All-American honors and constant comparisons to LeBron James for his pre-high school hype. His junior season was cut short by a hand injury, and his senior year ended before it began after a shoulder injury in an AAU game against Lamar Odom, originally committed to UCLA. He was ruled ineligible after the NCAA invalidated his SAT score. A prep year and a commitment to NC State also fell apart, leading him to Long Beach City College, where he averaged 25.8 points and 5.8 rebounds. At Alabama, he led the team with 15.5 points and 4.6 rebounds, making second team All-SEC. Undrafted in 2000, he played in the D-League with the Harlem Globetrotters and in pro leagues overseas, but never reached the NBA. Demetrius Walker, at 14, he was 6'3", 175 pounds, and ranked the number 1 eighth grader in the country, with media dubbing him the next LeBron. His rise was chronicled in the book Play Their Hearts Out, detailing his early years under AAU coach Joe Keller. At St. Mary's High in Phoenix, he led the team to the Arizona State title, scoring 27 in the championship. Listed at 6'3" and 190, he signed with Arizona State in the 2009 class. As a freshman, he played 23 games, averaging 4 points in just over 10 minutes. After sitting out a transfer year, he joined New Mexico, averaging 7.4 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.8 assists in 2011 to 12, then 5 points the next season. For his final season at Grand Canyon, he put up 16.9 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in 9 games. Across 90 college games, he averaged 6.8 points. Once a youth phenom, he never reached that projected stardom, later moving into coaching and working with junior varsity players. John Petty Jr. at J.O. Johnson High in Huntsville. He made the state title game as a freshman and was first-team class All-State. As a sophomore, he won the championship, was tournament MVP, Player of the Year, and finished third in Alabama Mr. Basketball voting. His junior year brought averages of 19.9 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 4.1 assists on 51% shooting. Another title, another tournament MVP, and both Alabama Mr. Basketball and Gatorade Player of the Year honors. As a senior at Jemison High, he averaged 20.7 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 5.6 assists, won his third straight title, and became just the third player to win Mr. Basketball twice. ESPN ranked him 25th nationally in the 2017 class, and he played in the Jordan Brand Classic. At Alabama, he earned all SEC honors, set school records with 311 career threes made, and finished 16th in career points. Undrafted in 2021, he signed an Exhibit 10 contract with New Orleans and joined the Birmingham Squadron in the NBA G League. Ronnie Fields at Farragut Academy in Chicago from 1992 to 1996. He shared the court with Kevin Garnett for one season and became one of the city's most celebrated prep players. As a senior, he averaged roughly 32 points, 12.2 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 4.5 blocks, and 4 steals per game, winning Illinois Mr. Basketball, First Team Parade All-American USA, Today All-American, and McDonald's All-American honors. He finished with 2,619 career points, third most in Chicago Public League history, and was famed for a 50-inch vertical leap. He was one of the first sophomores invited to Nike's Best of the Best game in 1993, alongside Allen Iverson and Garnett, and was a 3-time Parade All-American. In February 1996, a car accident fractured his neck, ending his high school season weeks before the playoff. Though he signed with DePaul, academic ineligibility kept him out, and he never played in college or the NBA. Drafted in the 7th round of the 1996 CBA draft by Lacrosse, he went on to earn CBA All-Rookie Second Team honors, 3 All-Star selections, 3 All-CBA First Team nods, a scoring title, and 4 steals titles, including back-to-back years, leading the league in both points and steals. His pro career spanned the Philippines, Venezuela, Turkey, Lebanon, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Greece, and the ABA. Today, Fields runs Ronnie Fields Elite Youth Programs, works as a trainer, and is the subject of the documentary Bounce Back, the Ronnie Fields story, which captures both his spectacular rise and the resilience he has shown since. Quade Green, he was the floor general every high school coach dreams about. At Neumann, Goretti, in Philadelphia, he led them to 4 straight Pennsylvania Class 3A state titles and piled up 1,853 career points, the second highest in school history. On the 2016 Nike EYBL circuit, he put up over 14 points and more than 10 assists per game, earning all EYBL first team honors and guiding his squad deep into the Peach Jam. By early 2017, his name was everywhere. He was a McDonald's All-American, winning the Legends and Stars shootout. Plus, he landed spots in the Jordan Brand Classic and Nike Hoop Summit. Recruiting sites all had him as a 5-star, with ESPN ranking him 24th overall in the class, right there with big names like Mo Bamba, Colin Sexton, and Wendell Carter Jr. He chose Kentucky, played his freshman season, then transferred to Washington, where he had a bigger role. After going undrafted in 2021, he's played in the G League for teams like the Maine Celtics and Grand Rapids Gold, and overseas in places like Kosovo and Mexico, still working to make his mark in the game. Lewis King. He made his mark in New Jersey, starting at Roselle Catholic, moving to Pope John 23, and finishing at Hudson Catholic. Even with a knee injury cutting his senior year short, he still averaged 15 points and just over 4 rebounds per game. He earned a spot in the 2018 McDonald's All-American Game and was invited to the Nike Hoop Summit. Though the injury kept him from playing there, he was a 5-star recruit across all major rankings, with ESPN listing him 11th overall in the class, ahead of plenty of future stars. That same year, he shared the McDonald's stage with names like Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett. He committed to Oregon in September of 2017, playing one season where he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist, making the Pac-12 All-Freshman team. After going undrafted in 2019, he signed 2-way deals with teams like the Detroit Pistons and Sacramento Kings, plus G League stints. His career's also taken him overseas to Mexico, Puerto Rico, and China, where he's played for the Fujian Sturgeons, still chasing opportunities on both the national and international stage. Keith Tiny Gallant. At Oak Hill Academy, he was a force, standing around 6 feet 9 inches and close to 300 pounds, dominating the class of 2009. Originally from Houston, he became one of the nation's top centers, earning ESPN Rise All-American honors and a spot in the ESPN 100. Rivals ranked him 9th overall and 2nd at his position. In the 2009 McDonald's All-American Game, he led the West with 20 points and 7 rebounds, sharing the court with future NBA names like Derek Favors, DeMarcus Cousins, and Avery Bradley. He committed to Oklahoma and as a freshman averaged just over 10 points, nearly 8 rebounds, and shot 54% from the field, ranking high among Big 12 rebounders. After that season, he declared for the 2010 NBA Draft, but controversy hit when all of Oklahoma's wins from that year were vacated due to him receiving impermissible benefits. His early exit didn't translate into a lasting NBA career, and his professional path never matched the hype he built in high school, leaving his story as a reminder of how quickly expectations can outpace reality. Ashton Hagans. At Newton High School in Georgia, his junior year was huge. 20 points, over 10 assists, nearly 8 rebounds, and more than 3 steals per game. That earned him Georgia Mr. Basketball and Gatorade Georgia Player of the Year. In the 2018 ESPN 100, he was ranked 20th overall, ahead of players like Emmett Williams and Jalen Horde, a 5-star point guard. He originally committed to Georgia, then flipped to Kentucky in April of 2018 and reclassified to join that fall. As a freshman, he averaged nearly 8 points, 4 assists, almost 3 rebounds, and over 1.5 steals, winning SEC Co-Defensive Player of the Year. His sophomore season jumped to over 11 points, 6 assists, and almost 2 steals per game. After averaging 9 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds across 2 seasons, he entered the 2020 NBA Draft. Undrafted, he signed with Minnesota, played 2 games, then moved through the G League, tying the second highest assist mark in league history with 22. In 2023, he signed with Portland, and in 2024 joined the Xinjiang Flying Tigers in China, producing balanced numbers in scoring, passing, and steals. Brandon McCoy. At Cathedral Catholic High School in San Diego, he became one of the nation's top big men, earning McDonald's All-American honors in 2017 and a spot in the Jordan Brand Classic. That year, ESPN ranked him 15th overall, with the recruiting service Consensus Index placing him at 11th. He chose UNLV for his lone college season, where he averaged nearly 17 points, just over 10 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks per game, while shooting 54% from the field. Those numbers brought him Mountain West Freshman of the Year and all Mountain West second team honors. After going undrafted in the 2018 NBA Draft, he joined the Milwaukee Bucks and New Orleans Pelicans for Summer League and preseason stints, then moved to the G League with the Wisconsin Herd, where he averaged around 8 points and 5 rebounds. His career since has spanned the Sioux Falls Skyforce, Tijuana Zonkies, Brampton Honey Badgers, Borneo Hornbills, and in 2025, Soles de Mexicali. On the international stage, he represented the United States at the 2017 FIBA Under-19 World Cup, helping secure a bronze medal while showcasing his size and rebounding ability. Wally Judge. At Arlington Country Day School in Florida, he put up monster senior year numbers: 18 points, over 17 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists per game, while racking up double-doubles in 30 of 32 outings. He helped secure a Florida Class 2A state title, the program's 5th straight, tying a state record. He was picked as both a McDonald's All-American and a Jordan Brand All-American, though a back injury kept him out of the McDonald's game. In the Jordan Brand Classic, he dropped 18 points with 7 rebounds. Ranked 15th overall in the ESPN 100 for the class of 2009 and 18th by Rivals, he was one of the top power forwards nationally, sharing the spotlight with future NBA names like DeMarcus Cousins and Derek Favors. At Kansas State, he averaged just over 3 points as a freshman and 5.5 as a sophomore before transferring to Rutgers. There, he averaged around 7 points and between 5 and 6 rebounds in each of his last 2 seasons. Undrafted in 2014, he played professionally in Italy, Israel, Argentina, and Finland, where his best season brought nearly 11 points and over 9 rebounds per game. Billy Preston. His high school journey ran through St. John Bosco, Redondo Union, Prime Prep Academy, and finally, Oak Hill Academy, where as a senior, he averaged 15 points and just over 9 rebounds per game. He was a 2017 McDonald's All-American, scoring 10 points with 3 rebounds, and also played in the Jordan Brand Classic, adding 7 points in 15 minutes. Ranked 20th in the ESPN 100 and inside the top 20 by most major services, he was praised for a 7-foot 1-inch wingspan, smooth touch, and a versatile scoring game that made him one of the most coveted power forwards in his class. He committed to Kansas over schools like Indiana and Syracuse, but never played a game there due to an NCAA eligibility investigation and a campus car accident. In early 2018, he signed with Igokia in Bosnia, officially turning pro. Since going undrafted that year, his career's taken him through the G League with teams like the Canton Charge and Texas Legends, plus stops in Australia, South Africa, where he won 2 titles with the Cape Town Tigers, and Mexico with the Tijuana Zonkies, continuing a globe-trotting basketball path. Moftau Yaru, born in Nadatingu, Benin, he rose to national attention at Montrose Christian School in Maryland, earning 3rd team parade All-American honors in 2009 and a spot on USA Today's 2nd team All-USA. Ranked around 18th in the ESPN 100, he was viewed as one of the top forwards in the class. Choosing Villanova, he became a steady 4-year contributor, averaging nearly 9 points and 7 rebounds over 120 games, with his best season as a junior at over 11 points per game. By the end of his college career, he was one of only 8 Wildcats to record more than 1,000 points, 800 rebounds, and 100 blocks, ranking 11th in career rebounds and 10th in blocks. Undrafted in the 2013 NBA draft, he started professionally in Serbia with Radnički Kragujevac, averaging almost 12 points and over 10 rebounds. He then spent multiple seasons in France, winning the French Cup in 2016 and leading the league in rebounding, with stops at Le Mans, Antibes, Levallois, Boulazac, Nanterre, and Le Portel, building a long, productive career overseas despite not reaching the NBA stage. Emmett Williams. His high school path ran from Lehigh Senior in Florida to IMG Academy, then to Oak Ridge High School in Orlando. At IMG, he averaged 16 points, over 12 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks per game. As a senior at Oak Ridge, he put up almost 18 points, more than 12 rebounds, and close to 2 blocks, leading them to a Florida Class 9 A-state title. A consensus 5-star recruit in the class of 2018, he was ranked around 21st by ESPN and praised for his motor, athleticism, and a 6-foot 11-inch wingspan. On the showcase stage, he set the Jordan Brand Classic scoring record with 44 points, earning MVP and was co-MVP of the Ballless Life All-American game with 31 points and 12 rebounds. At LSU, he averaged 7 points and 5 rebounds as a freshman, then jumped to over 13 points, 6 rebounds, and more than a block as a sophomore on strong shooting splits. Undrafted in 2020, he's played in the G League and internationally in Israel, Italy, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Puerto Rico, where he's with Gigantes de Carolina. Jordan Hamilton. He started at Susan Miller Dorsey High before transferring to Dominguez High in Compton, where as a junior, he averaged over 27 points and 11 rebounds, leading them to a 32-3 record plus a CIF, Southern Section Division I AA title. A 5-star recruit in the class of 2009, he was ranked the #1 small forward and as high as 6th overall nationally, with ESPN listing him 8th. At Texas, he played 2 seasons, breaking out as a sophomore with nearly 19 points and almost 8 rebounds per game, earning consensus second-team All-American and first-team All-Big 12 honors. Selected 26th overall in the 2011 NBA Draft by Dallas and traded to Denver, he spent 5 seasons in the league with the Nuggets, Rockets, Clippers, and Pelicans, averaging about 6 points and nearly 3 rebounds. After the NBA, he played in the G League and overseas in countries like Russia, Israel, Italy, Japan, and Turkey, including a season with Hapoel Holon, where he averaged almost 18 points, showing scoring consistency even if his NBA star potential never fully materialized. Alex Oriaki. At Tilton School in New Hampshire, he was a McDonald's All-American, a second-team Parade All-American, and Gatorade Player of the Year for the state. A 5-star recruit, rivals ranked him the #3 center and 21st overall in the 2009 class, with the Recruiting Service Consensus Index putting him at 16th. At UConn, he earned Big East All-Rookie honors as a freshman, then posted nearly 10 points, almost 9 rebounds, and over 1.5 blocks as a sophomore, helping the Huskies win both the Big East and the NCAA championship in 2011. His numbers dipped as a junior with the arrival of Drummond, and he transferred to Missouri, averaging over 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks, while shooting nearly 64% from the field. Drafted 57th overall in 2013 by Phoenix, he played briefly in France and Israel before excelling in the D-League, making the all-rookie first team. Though he never played in a regular season NBA game, his pro career took him to Lithuania, Italy, Venezuela, Turkey, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Uruguay, and Malta, where he last suited up in 2022. Joey Crawford, Tim Duncan incident. The whole thing started on April 15th, 2007, during a game in Dallas. Tim Duncan was on the bench, not even playing, when referee Joey Crawford tossed him after handing out 2 technical fouls. The reason? Duncan was laughing, not loudly protesting, not jumping up and down, just laughing, with his head in a towel. Crawford said Duncan was mocking the refs and that the laughing was part of constant complaining. Duncan, on the other hand, said Crawford came up and actually asked him, "Do you want to fight?" during the text. That part right there set the whole thing on fire. After the dust settled, the league didn't waste any time. Commissioner David Stern stepped in and suspended Crawford indefinitely. He didn't just miss the rest of the regular season and playoffs, he also snapped a streak of 21 straight NBA Finals appearances. On top of that, Crawford got slapped with a $100,000 fine and was told to go through counseling and meet with a sports psychologist. Duncan got hit too, though not nearly as hard. He was fined $25,000 for verbal abuse. That reportedly came from the expletive he tossed Crawford's way while heading to the locker room. Crawford did return later that year after completing everything the league asked. He met with Stern again in July and was reinstated in September. Years later, Crawford called the incident one of the biggest regrets of his career. He even said it changed his life and led him to continue therapy long after the league's mandate ended. And in a strange twist, despite the chaos, San Antonio didn't fall apart. Just a few weeks later, they went on to win the 2007 NBA championship. Mike Mathis, tax evasion case. It all started back in 1994 when the IRS launched Operation Slam Dunk, targeting NBA refs who downgraded first-class tickets to coach, pocketed the leftover money, and never reported it. Mike Mathis was part of that group. Over 50 referees were under the microscope, and some were raking in tens of thousands of dollars this way. By February 19th, 1997, things got real for Mathis. A grand jury hit him with 5 counts of tax fraud for underreporting $69,000 of income between 1989 and 1992. The scheme? He'd take the NBA-issued first-class ticket, swap it for coach, keep the extra cash, and sometimes use miles to still fly first class. That's some pretty wild gymnastics for a trip to a game. At first, Mathis denied it was intentional fraud. His lawyer argued tax rules weren't clear, and he genuinely misunderstood how the money should have been handled. But a year later, in February of 1998, Mathis changed course and pled guilty to 1 count of filing a false tax return. The rest of the charges got dropped. After pleading guilty, he resigned from the NBA. His sentence, 120 days of home confinement, 3 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, and a $2,000 fine. It wasn't nothing, but it could have been worse. Then, in January of 1999, Commissioner David Stern reinstated him. Mathis returned for just under 3 more seasons and wrapped up his career on December 16, 2001. He got a standing ovation that night in Seattle, closing the book on a wild chapter in NBA referee history with a little unexpected applause. Tim Donaghy betting scandal. This scandal broke in July of 2007 when the FBI revealed it was investigating an NBA ref for betting on games. That ref turned out to be Tim Donaghy, who had been placing bets going all the way back to the 2003 season and kept at it through 2007. He wasn't just betting. He was giving gamblers inside info, including for games he officiated. Donaghy quit his job on July 9, 2007, once the heat came in. Then, on August 15th, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to transmit wagering info across state lines. He'd been giving coded messages to gamblers and getting paid based on how accurate his tips were. The payoff started at $2,000 per correct pick and eventually climbed to $5,000. Depending on who you ask, he made anywhere from $30,000 to $300,000. He admitted to giving inside info for at least 2 games during the 2007 season. For that, he was sentenced in July of 2008 to 15 months in federal prison and 3 years of supervised release. He served 11 months in a low-security Florida facility, with the rest in a halfway house. There was also a fine of $500,000, plus $30,000 in restitution. The NBA demanded even more, over $1,400,000 for lost salary and internal investigation costs. The league overhauled its defense around referee conduct. Gambling policies were tightened, game assignments got more secure, and refs went through background checks and training. Even though Donaghy later made wild accusations about rigged playoff games, federal investigators found nothing credible. Most of his claims were dismissed, but the damage to the league's rep stuck. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Dennis Rodman headbutts referee. On March 16, 1996, during a Bulls matchup against the Nets in New Jersey, Dennis Rodman got tossed in the first quarter after picking up 2 technical fouls, but instead of heading to the locker room like a regular human being, he chose a different route. Rodman walked up to referee Ted Bernhardt and delivered a clear headbutt. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he flipped over a water cooler, ripped off his jersey, and stormed off the court like the arena was his personal stage. The NBA wasted 0 time. They suspended him for 6 games without pay and fined him $20,000. According to NBA Vice President Rod Thorne, the punishment wasn't just for the headbutt itself, but for the entire meltdown. That included every dramatic step between the techs and the tunnel. Media coverage didn't go easy on him either. One outlet described him as looking more like the third stooge than a professional athlete. The whole scene was treated as both disturbing and bizarre, even by Rodman's standard. This was no isolated slip-up. The moment added to his growing list of on-court eruptions that earned him a reputation as one of the league's most unpredictable personalities. Basketball historians still mention this as one of the peak examples of Rodman's emotional volatility. He already had a reputation for being wild, but this sealed it. You don't headbutt a ref and walk away quietly. It became one of those moments that stuck with fans and commentators alike. And despite the circus-like energy, it had real consequences. The Bulls had to keep it together without him for 6 straight games. And the incident kept Rodman's name in headlines for all the wrong reasons. Just another infamous chapter in his chaotic NBA timeline. Jake O'Donnell, Clyde Drexler incident. On May 9th, 1995, in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals between Houston and Phoenix, things got tense before the opening tip. At the captain's meeting, referee Jake O'Donnell refused to shake Clyde Drexler's hand. He later claimed he hadn't done so since the 1993 season. Then came the first quarter. After Drexler picked up a questionable foul and voiced his frustration, O'Donnell hit him with 2 quick technicals and tossed him out of the game. Drexler was furious and had to be held back by teammates and coaches as he charged toward O'Donnell. Houston was not quiet about it. They filed a formal complaint and even sent video of the pre-game snub. Elise Lanier, wife of Houston's mayor, personally reached out to Commissioner David Stern. While the league didn't announce any formal punishment, they stopped assigning O'Donnell to playoff games for the rest of the postseason. That meant he missed the finals for the first time in 23 straight seasons. He was still paid, but he never officiated another playoff game again. The usual $1,000 fine that players receive for being ejected, the league rescinded it for Drexler. That move raised even more eyebrows. It looked like the NBA was quietly admitting something was off. O'Donnell officially retired in December of that year. He insisted he wasn't suspended and that it was his choice to walk away. Still, he admitted to being confused about why he wasn't called back, even though they paid him anyway. He denied having any personal beef with Drexler and said he just didn't take anything from anybody. That ejection ended a career with 2,134 regular season games, 279 playoff games, and 39 NBA Finals appearances. 1951 college basketball point shaving scandal. While most attention goes to the players, this one also dragged an NBA referee straight into the mess. Saul Levy, an active league ref, was caught arranging outcomes in 6 NBA games back in 1950. That included matchups involving teams like the Knicks and Celtics. He didn't just get swept up by accident. He was a key figure in the betting network. His involvement led to changes in the Wilson-Morit Act, so referees could be explicitly prosecuted for this kind of scheme. The broader scandal hit between 1947 and 1951, with 35 college players fixing at least 86 games. Schools included City College of New York, Long Island University, New York University, Manhattan College, Toledo, Bradley, and Kentucky. But Sol Levy's role proved that the corruption wasn't limited to college kids. It reached the pro level, too. Once the Manhattan District Attorney had wiretaps and confessions, the house of cards fell fast. Junius Kellogg from Manhattan College helped set the trap after reporting a bribe offer. While most of the players involved were banned and slapped with suspended sentences, Levy's case had a bigger effect. It showed refs were not immune, and the law had to catch up. The fallout for Sol Levy wasn't just legal, it wrecked credibility across officiating. The NBA didn't release a lengthy public statement, but after that, Levy was gone. His downfall helped push the league toward stricter oversight and legal protections to prevent officials from becoming part of the betting circle again. This whole thing remains the largest fixing scandal in college hoops, but Sol Levy's part proved that even those in stripes could be part of the setup. He left behind a warning shot that the defense around officiating needed to be way tighter. Scott Foster, Chris Paul feud. This has become one of the NBA's most high-profile referee-player clashes. Chris Paul has made it clear he believes it's personal. He's even said the tension stems from an unresolved incident involving his son, and he claims the league's tried to mediate before, holding meetings with Doc Rivers, his father, and referee leadership. Then came November 22nd, 2023. Paul got tossed in the second quarter of a Warriors versus. Suns game after 2, quick text from Foster. Foster called the first for unsportsmanlike conduct and the second for continuing to complain. That was Paul's 7th career ejection, but his first from Foster. Paul said, "It's personal." Multiple people echoed that the ejection felt overboard. Steve Kerr said the first technical made sense, but the second crossed the line. Steph Curry called it unnecessary escalation. Chris Mullin said Foster let his personal feelings interfere. Then there's the playoff record. Teams led by Paul have gone 3-17 in postseason games with Foster officiating, losing by over 11 points per game. Paul finally got one win under Foster in April 2023 when the Suns beat the Clippers. Foster's got a reputation. Players call him the extender because he often shows up in games where the trailing team suddenly stays alive. He's also known as Agent 48, and not in a flattering way. He's been voted worst ref in multiple player surveys. Despite criticism, the league keeps putting him in high-pressure spots. Foster's worked over 220 playoff games and 16 straight NBA finals. He's clearly trusted by the league. But things got even messier when it came out that Tim Donaghy made over 130 phone calls to Foster. During the time, he was under investigation. An NBA probe cleared Foster of wrongdoing, but the phone records still raised questions. Dick Bavetta game management allegations. Former NBA referee Tim Donaghy claimed Bavetta had a reputation for keeping games close, not necessarily fixing outcomes, but supposedly trying to avoid blowouts. Donaghy said Bavetta would tell his crew to give marginal calls to one team when the score got lopsided. He said it was about not embarrassing teams, not about picking winners. Donaghy used this logic to bet on large underdogs in Bavetta-officiated games, believing they'd cover the spread. But data doesn't support it. A review from BYU economist Joe Price showed betting on underdogs in games refereed by Bavetta actually led to losing returns. Teams favored by 7 or more points covered the spread more than underdogs did. In fact, the supposed advantage for underdogs didn't hold up. One study covering 69 games with 10-point spreads found underdogs only covered 36.2% of the time. A quote circulated from Bavetta himself, allegedly saying, "Calls tend to go to the team that's down 15 or 20 points." But it came from a fan post on Game FAQs and wasn't backed by a public statement or verified source. During the Donaghy investigation, federal agents asked other referees about Bavetta. Hugh Hollins confirmed that questions about Bavetta's conduct came up. Investigators wanted to know if Bavetta helped teams win or held back on certain calls. Hollins said he never saw anything like that. David Stern, publicly stated he had no concerns about Pavetta's integrity during the scandal. Despite Donaghy's accusations, no proof ever came forward that Pavetta manipulated games. No charges, no suspensions, just allegations that don't line up with the numbers. Pavetta officiated 2,635 regular season games, 270 playoff games, and 27 finals games. He retired without formal discipline. Game 1, 2012 Knicks vs. Heat officiating controversy. In the first half alone, Miami attempted 28 free throws, while New York had only 5. That 23-shot gap before halftime stood out immediately. By the end of the game, the final count was 33 free throws for the Heat and just 11 for the Knicks. On top of that, New York was hit with 5 offensive fouls in the first half, a staggering number in any playoff setting. The whistles didn't stop there. Tyson Chandler was called for 2 illegal screens, one of which was upgraded to a flagrant foul, confusing even the broadcast crew. Then came a technical foul on Carmelo Anthony after he bounced the ball a little too firmly toward a ref. That was followed by a technical on coach Mike Woodson for reacting. In the third quarter, another offensive foul on Anthony led Jeff Van Gundy to say, "You couldn't knock LeBron James over with that much force if you tried." No calls became just as controversial. Anthony was knocked down on a drive without a whistle. And during a timeout, the officials took points off the board after a Jared Jeffries basket, a move so strange it left announcers stunned. The combination of free throw imbalance, repeated technicals, and highly questionable foul decisions led to widespread criticism. The Knicks were visibly frustrated, and so were fans and analysts. The entire flow of the game felt tilted, and the stat sheet backed it up. Whether it qualifies as the worst officiated game in league history is up for debate, but few playoff games have drawn that level of scrutiny. That first half free throw gap, the bizarre technicals, and the mid-timeout score change all contributed to what many still consider a lopsided and baffling officiating performance. Bennett Salvatore tax case. In July of 2000, longtime NBA referee Bennett Salvatore pleaded guilty in federal court to filing a false tax return for the 1993 tax year. The charge came from his failure to report income related to airline ticket downgrades, part of a broader issue among NBA officials at the time. Back then, the league provided referees with first-class tickets. Some, like Salvatore, would exchange them for coach seats, pocket the difference, and not report it as taxable income. This became a pattern across multiple seasons and drew federal attention, eventually triggering IRS investigations under what was later called Operation Slam Dunk. Salvatore's case was one of the more prominent ones. His sentence was fairly light: 1 year of probation, 150 hours of community service, and a $500 fine. No prison time, but it added his name to the list of officials caught up in the travel expense scandal. Though his case focused on a single tax year, it reflected a widespread practice that saw dozens of officials investigated. The IRS made clear it wasn't just about poor accounting, it was tax fraud. The NBA never formally suspended Salvatore, and he continued officiating after the plea, but the conviction stuck. This situation fits into a broader trend during that period, with refs misreporting income from non-cash perks like travel savings. It wasn't glamorous, but it was illegal. Salvatore's guilty plea put another stamp on a scandal that touched nearly every level of the league's officiating crew and set off policy changes inside and outside the NBA. Even though his penalty was relatively minor, the public stain didn't go away. His case is still cited anytime the topic of referee credibility or league integrity comes up in conversation. Eddie Rush, Carla Knafel claim. In 2002, singer Carla Knafel made a legal claim stating she met Michael Jordan after being introduced by NBA referee Eddie Rush. According to her version, Rush approached her at an Indianapolis hotel where she was performing, complimented her singing, and then called Jordan at his hotel room to introduce the two over the phone. That claim surfaced as part of Knafel's countersuit in an ongoing legal battle with Jordan, where she alleged he offered her $5 million to remain silent about their relationship. Jordan denied any such agreement, and the court later ruled the alleged confidentiality deal couldn't be enforced. The NBA reportedly looked into the Rush claim in general terms, but never took disciplinary action. The league reiterated its stance that referees shouldn't fraternize with players, but stopped short of confirming anything Knafel alleged. No official finding ever substantiated her version of events involving Rush. As for Rush, there's no public record of comments or statements addressing the accusation. His career continued without interruption, and no punishment was ever linked to the claim. To this day, the story remains unconfirmed and unverified. One part of a broader legal mess that played out in the media but never gained traction in court. Jeff Van Gundy, Yao Ming referee controversy. During the 2005 NBA playoffs, Rockets coach Jeff Van Gundy publicly claimed referees were targeting Yao Ming with foul calls. He said an inactive league official told him that Yao was being watched more closely because of complaints made by Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. Van Gundy said they were looking at Yao harder because of Mark's complaint. The NBA responded quickly. Commissioner David Stern hit Van Gundy with a $100,000 fine, the largest ever given to a coach at that time. The league also made clear it considered the accusation serious and warned against undermining officiating integrity. Van Gundy later walked back the specifics. He clarified that the source wasn't a working referee, but a league official. He also apologized and admitted he had been vague to protect that individual's identity. After the apology, the league considered the matter closed and didn't escalate discipline further. The National Basketball Referees Association didn't let it slide. They criticized Van Gundy's comments and demanded his firing, saying the accusation damaged the credibility of all officials. They said the remarks were reckless and undermined confidence in officiating across the league. Later, former referee Tim Donaghy added fuel to the fire. He claimed a supervisor did tell Van Gundy that Yao was being targeted more closely, backing the core of Van Gundy's allegation. But Donaghy's comments came as part of his broader, highly controversial claims about officiating and betting, which the league had already investigated separately. In the end, the league levied the fine. Van Gundy clarified, and no additional action followed. But the moment stayed on the record, another entry in the long and complicated saga of NBA coaches, publicly questioning referee motives. Rodney Mott's suspension on January 12, 2007, after a game between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Miami Heat, NBA referee Rodney Mott made an obscene gesture toward a fan and used inappropriate language. At the time, Mott was in his 9th season as an NBA official. The gesture and language were serious enough that the league handed him a 3-game suspension without pay. There was no official fine announced, and the NBA didn't release a detailed public explanation. But the decision made clear the league viewed the behavior as a violation of its professional standards. No appeal was filed, and Mott served the suspension. Years later, some analysts revisited the case and argued that Mott might have been used as a scapegoat. The theory was that his suspension helped the league deflect from bigger officiating criticisms happening at the time. Still, that didn't lead to any reversal or reduction in the penalty. The suspension stood. Despite the incident, Mott continued his career without major interruption. He returned to officiate regularly and was later selected to work the 2013 NBA All-Star Game, a clear sign of confidence in his performance after the suspension. The league never readdressed the gesture publicly, and Mott didn't issue any formal public statement about it. But within the NBA community, the suspension remained one of the few times a referee faced direct discipline for in-game fan interaction. Mott's career continued for years beyond the event, and while the moment stands out as a rare disciplinary action against an official, it didn't mark the end of his time in the league. It simply became a notable footnote in a longer officiating resume. 2006 NBA Finals officiating controversy. Game 5 between the Dallas Mavericks and Miami Heat became the centerpiece of debate when D. Wade was awarded free throws with just under 2 seconds left in overtime. That foul call led to the game-winning points and gave Miami a 3-2 series lead. By the end, Miami had 39 free throw attempts compared to Dallas's 25, but in Game 5 alone, Wade had more free throw attempts than the entire Mavericks team. Mark Cuban, Dallas's owner, publicly criticized the officiating. While he didn't use the word rigged directly, reports said he implied the league wanted a certain outcome. The NBA fined him $250,000 for his post-game conduct and comment. That became one of the largest fines ever handed out to an owner at the time. Tim Donaghy later entered the picture. After pleading guilty in a separate betting scandal, he claimed the Mavericks were screwed out of a championship in 2006. He said league officials influenced refs to help create dramatic series outcomes. He named the 2006 finals as a series allegedly affected by that mindset. The public, especially online, echoed those frustrations. Fans pointed out how many whistles favored Miami, and the foul on Wade near the end of Game 5 kept fueling suspicion. The idea that officiating tilted the series never went away. But despite the noise, no official investigation proved misconduct. The NBA never admitted wrongdoing or announced internal findings. The calls remained controversial, but the championship stood. Wade's performances were praised, the Heat were crowned, and the Mavericks had to wait 5 more years for a title. The officiating remains one of the most debated elements of that finals. fueled by close calls, emotional reactions, and lingering doubt from both fans and insiders. Courtney Kirkland, Shaun Livingston altercation. On December 3rd, 2017, during a game between the Warriors and the Heat, Golden State's Shaun Livingston got frustrated after a no call on a short jumper. He approached referee Courtney Kirkland, got in his face, and the two made contact, brushing foreheads on the baseline. Kirkland immediately hit Livingston with a technical foul and ejected him on the spot. The NBA reviewed the incident and determined that both were at fault. Livingston was suspended 1 game without pay for making physical contact with an official. Kirkland, though, didn't walk away clean either. The league removed him from the officiating rotation for 1 week, also without pay. He was allowed to return to the court starting December 11. Kiki Vandeweghe, who was NBA VP of basketball operations at the time, said Kirkland had moved toward Livingston during the confrontation and shared responsibility for escalating the contact. That statement made it clear the league wasn't pinning everything on the player. Kirkland explained afterward that Livingston was tossed for the contact alone and that it came on a single technical, not a second warning or ongoing back and forth. The tension was already high, and the brief forehead contact made the situation stand out even more. Warriors coach Steve Kerr supported the league's decision and said the punishment was fair. The situation was unusual. Referees don't often get suspended, but the league made it clear that officials also have a duty to de-escalate when things get heated. While the moment didn't spark a long-term feud, it remains one of the rare examples where both a player and a ref faced formal discipline after an in-game altercation. It also served as a public reminder that the league holds officials accountable for their role in maintaining control. Giannis ejection. On November 8, 2023, Giannis was ejected in the third quarter of a game between the Bucks and the Pistons after picking up his second unsportsmanlike technical foul. The first came late in the second quarter when he used profanity toward an official following a drive. The second came after a dunk. He stared down a defender and made the too small gesture. That was ruled taunting, triggering an automatic ejection. Crew Chief Rodney Mott explained in the official pool report that both techs fell under the league's unsportsmanlike conduct rules. According to NBA policy, 2 such violations in a game result in ejection, regardless of context. The ejection sparked immediate backlash. Media outlets like Sports Illustrated and SB Nation called the second technical excessive and even mocked it as one of the softest ejections in years. Online, Reddit lit up with fan reactions. One user compared it to Tim Duncan's ejection for laughing on the bench. Others argued the league was being too sensitive, while some speculated about officiating trends. Though those are opinions, not grounded in evidence. From a rule standpoint, the decision followed protocol. Still, the tone and severity of the second technical, especially in a routine celebration moment, turned it into a lightning rod for criticism. Many felt that the call ignored the emotion of the game and punished normal competitive energy. This incident didn't result in a fine or additional penalty for Giannis, and the league didn't walk the call back. But the debate over how far officials should go with taunting calls continues. The Giannis ejection became another example of where the rulebook and the spirit of the game clashed on a national stage. Earl Strom's Seattle incident. During the 1974-75 NBA season, after a game in Seattle, referee Earl Yogi Strom got involved in an unusual post-game altercation. While standing at the scorer's table, a woman approached him, likely looking to talk or get an autograph. Strom pushed her away, reportedly to create space. In response, Seattle Supersonics guard Fred Brown shoved Strom back into the crowd. Things didn't escalate further, thanks to coach Bill Russell and fellow referee Hugh Evans, who quickly stepped in to separate the two. The moment was chaotic, but short-lived. Initially, the league wasn't light-handed. Then Commissioner J. Walter Kennedy intended to suspend Strom for 6 games. That penalty was later reduced to a $600 fine instead. Strom didn't accept the fine quietly. He appealed through the referees union, claiming he acted in self-defense. The union didn't press the appeal, but a year later, under new Commissioner Larry O'Brien, the fine was rescinded entirely, and Strom was reimbursed. No suspension was ever enforced, and Strom remained active as an official. The incident didn't lead to any known penalties for Fred Brown either. It became a rare instance of a player shoving a referee with no long-term consequences for either side. The league never released footage, and details of the event rely mostly on historical reporting and biographies. Still, the incident is often referenced as one of the stranger off-court referee altercations in NBA history, one where the punishment shifted, the appeal faded, and the check eventually came back. Bill Kennedy, Doc Rivers' ejection. On March 17th, 2009, During a game between the Celtics and the Bulls, Coach Doc Rivers was ejected in the final 30 seconds after receiving a second technical foul. The Celtics were down 5 points with under 30 seconds to go when the ejection occurred, just after a timeout was called. Rivers told reporters afterward that referee Bill Kennedy stared him down and goaded him into reacting. He said, "He stood there and goaded me. He stared at me until I turned around. That's when I got thrown out of the game." The NBA fined Rivers $25,000 for publicly criticizing officiating, which is standard league practice. But the league also quietly fined Kennedy an undisclosed amount for how he handled the situation. The fine was tied specifically to how Kennedy engaged with Rivers during the timeout and how the escalation was managed. That didn't sit well with the referees union. Their spokesperson, Lamel McMorris, said Kennedy followed league protocol and removed himself from the confrontation as trained. He argued that punishing Kennedy could make it harder for referees to enforce rules confidently. The union also pointed to Rivers' own conduct, suggesting the coach had a pattern of unprofessional behavior toward officials. The league did not reverse either fine or issue further statements. The union's main concern was that fining an official for enforcing the rulebook could set a precedent that discourages refs from doing their jobs under pressure. This incident became one of the few times where both a coach and an official were fined, stemming from the same confrontation. While Rivers moved on and Kennedy kept officiating, the debate over how much authority referees should exercise and how they manage tense moments remained a hot topic. Lakers fans are fired up but not fooled. They see the big names and know this team's built to chase a title, not rebuild. With DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Jake LaRavia added, there's more size, more defense, and a deeper bench. Well, kind of. That bench still has people holding their breath. There's excitement, but also a big old side of let's wait and see. The window's not just open, it's ticking. LeBron's age and durability are major topics, and fans are just praying for the day he comes back. Luka is the centerpiece now, and expectations are sky high. Fans want scoring, leadership, a top finish, and big-time plays when it matters. No pressure, right? Ayton's supposed to fix the front court issues, but fans aren't popping the champagne yet. He's got to prove he can defend and stay consistent. Austin Reeves is expected to keep trending up, hit threes, bring energy, and defend like crazy. And the role players, they better show up. Smart's expected to anchor the defense. LaRavia's got promise, but that second unit's carrying a ton of weight. If the starters rest, the bench better not collapse. Knicks. After finally reaching the Eastern Conference Finals, fans aren't interested in baby steps. It's title or bust. The coaching change to Mike Brown only turned up the heat, and fans want sharper adjustments, better game management, and none of the slow starts or late collapses that haunted them before. The core is strong, but that's not enough anymore. With the East wide open, fans expect this team to look elite from start to finish. Jalen Brunson's carrying more than just the offense. He's the leader now, and fans expect him to stay efficient, step up in the clutch, and tighten up on defense. Karl Anthony Towns, that's the co-star fans expect to dominate, inside and out, defend better, and stay on the court. Bridges is the wing stopper who needs to hit shots and shut down elite scorers. OG's expected to be that steady two-way guy, while Josh Hart's supposed to bring the hustle and grind with cleaner shooting. Mitchell Robinson, it's time to stay healthy and control the paint. The bench can't disappear this time. New additions are under the microscope. With this roster, fans believe they've got the pieces. Now it's about proving they can win when it counts. Spurs, the excuses are gone, and fans are done waiting around. With Victor Wembanyama leading the charge, they're not dreaming about the future anymore. They want the playoffs and not the through the play-in. 6th seed is the bar now, and anything lower's already got fans side-eyeing the coaching staff. Speaking of which, Mitch Johnson's stepping in for Pop, and fans expect the culture to stay sharp while the team actually wins games. Wembanyama's not just a rising star anymore. Fans want dominance, leadership, and consistency. He's expected to take over both ends of the court and carry them to real wins. Fox came with a huge contract, so fans expect that to mean serious production, veteran poise, and a real bond with Wemby. Castle, no rookie leash this time. He's supposed to score more, defend better, and help this team level up. Supporting guys like Sochan and Vassell better show they can hang. The days of they're still young are over. This fan base is hopeful, but it's tough love now. They've watched long enough. If the core stays healthy, fans expect real results. If not, they'll be the first ones to call it out. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Celtics. Fans know this season's different, and the vibe reflects it. With Jason Tatum out recovering from that Achilles injury, expectations have shifted. Some still believe, This team can make noise in the East, but others are bracing for a step back. Losing Porzingis, Holiday, and Horford hurt the experience factor, and fans know the younger bench has to grow up fast. Jaylen Brown's the guy now. He's expected to lead scoring, defend top wings, and show he can carry a team in real playoff moments. That knee recovery adds pressure, but fans still want all NBA level play. Derek White, expectations are sky high. Some are already penciling him in as an all-star. He's supposed to do it all: run the offense, defend, shoot, lead. Tatum's return is looming over everything. No one knows when he'll be fully back, but fans are holding out hope it's sooner than later. Until then, the pressure's on guys like Pritchard and Gonzalez to step up. Coach Mazzulla's under the spotlight too. Fans want smarter rotations, faster pace, and better use of the younger talent. The title might not be the expectation, but slipping out of contention, that's not acceptable either. Nuggets. Fans are walking into this season with full title expectations, not hopes. With Nikola Jokic still in peak form, they're demanding more than 50 wins and another deep playoff run. A new coach, a reshaped bench, and the same pressure. Get it done now. They don't see this as a developmental year. They see a wide open West and a prime window. Jokic is the engine, and fans expect dominance to continue. They know he can rack up triple doubles, but now it's about pushing for another MVP and a ring. Murray just got paid and now needs to bring consistency. The big games aren't enough. Fans want fewer cold nights and more steady output. Aaron Gordon's role is clear: guard the top wings, crash the boards, and stay healthy. That's been the problem in past runs. Christian Brown's expected to go from promising to permanent. He's got to keep scoring efficiently and lock in on defense. The bench, that's where eyes are locked. The rotation's deeper now, and fans are watching whether the second unit actually delivered. This team's built to win now, and the fan base isn't giving them a pass if they don't. Warriors. Fans are fully locked in for what they see as a final real shot at another ring. After adding Jimmy Butler last season and bringing in Al Horford for front court depth, the roster looks ready, but time is tight. The core is aging, and the Western Conference isn't slowing down. Curry's still the engine. Fans expect him to lead offensively, stay healthy, and start relying more on support pieces instead of doing everything himself. He's signed through 2027, so there's still belief, but the wear and tear is real. Draymond's expected to hold the defense together, switching, talking, rebounding, and not lose that edge fans have loved for years. Butler came in to win, not coast. Fans expect him to be the playoff weapon, tough, smart, and productive. He's supposed to help carry this team deep. Kuminga, still a question mark. Fans are waiting to see if he's really a playoff contributor or just promise on paper. The bench has to matter now. Horford and Melton are expected to bring stability, defense, and veteran savvy. If the starters rest, the drop can't be steep. Fans believe the shot's real, but they're not pretending the window stays open forever. Timberwolves. Fans don't want to be surprised anymore. They expect this team to win. After back-to-back trips to the Western Conference Finals, the standard has shifted. A 51-win projection sounds right to most fans, but now it's about breaking through, not maintaining. With ownership changes locking instability and key pieces like Naz Reid re-signed, the message is clear. The window's wide open. Anthony Edwards is the franchise now. He's expected to lead in every way: scoring, maturity, and consistency. Fans see this as his next jump into full-blown superstardom, and the spotlight's only getting brighter. Julius Randle, he's the second star. Big contract, big performances expected. Fans are watching his fit long-term and won't be patient if he slides. Rudy Gobert's job hasn't changed. Anchor the defense, stay healthy, and dominate the paint. If he dips, fans know the whole thing starts to wobble. Naz Reid, he got paid, so the expectations are real now. Energy, scoring, and reliability off the bench. The supporting cast has to show up. The fan base is watching everything from bench depth to coaching rotations. They believe this team can go all the way, but they're watching closely for cracks, thunder. After winning it all, fans aren't easing up. They expect another dominant season. That 68-win run last year, now it's the standard. With Shea leading the charge, fans believe this group should defend the title, not just make a run. This isn't underdog energy anymore. It's about proving they're here to stay. Shea's the finals, MVP and franchise guy. Fans expect more of everything: scoring, defense, leadership, and clutch control. No step back. Jalen Williams just got a big deal, and the fan base now expects consistent all-star level production, not just big moments here and there. Chet Holmgren, he's expected to evolve into a full-on anchor, protect the rim, grab boards, and keep elevating. The core's locked in, and the fan base wants sustained chemistry and performance. But the pressure's up. Role players can't coast. The bench has to bring something every night. There's also awareness. Being champs means every opponent circles the game on the calendar. Thunder fans know the team's hunted now. They expect the group to stay locked in, manage the noise, and keep the identity that got them here. Anything short of another deep playoff run, fans won't call that a success. Mavericks. The fan base is adjusting to a brand new identity after trading away Luka. Anthony Davis is the centerpiece now, and expectations hinge on two things: his health and whether he can anchor a roster that's still forming. Fans aren't demanding a title this year, but they expect real progress, especially with Cooper Flagg seen as the future. Davis has to bring elite defense, size, and leadership, but fans are cautious. If injuries hit again, the tone shifts fast. Kyrie Irving is recovering from a torn ACL, and his return could swing the season. Fans know if he's sharp by January, this team could push past the play-in range. If not, they're bracing for another bottom-tier fight. Flagg is the rookie hope. Fans expect him to contribute now, even while understanding he's a project long-term. The leash is longer, but the microscope is on. The supporting cast has to step up. D'Angelo Russell's got to lead, while Kyrie's out, and Derek Lively II needs to grow into a real front court asset. If the bench falters, the season gets away fast. Fans want to step forward, not perfection, but proof this new core is headed somewhere real. Sixers. The fan base is still recovering from the flaming wreck that was last season. 24 wins, fans have had paper cuts that hurt less. There's no parade of blind optimism this time. Expectations are loaded with ifs and maybes. The trio of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey still gets people talking, but only if they actually play. Fans aren't here for another season of players wrapped in bubble wrap. This year feels like a final exam. If the stars disappear again, the whole project might implode. There's cautious belief, sure, but also some very tired eyes. Fans want actual progress, not just hope with a new coat of paint. Embiid's health is the elephant in the arena. Fans want the MVP version back, not just his occasional hologram. Maxey, he's the energy drink of the team. There's hope he'll become the guy, especially if the other two need more sideline naps. And George, the clock's ticking. Then there's VJ Edgecombe and the youth movement. If those guys bring any kind of punch off the bench, fans might breathe a little easier. But if it looks like last year again, patience will vanish faster than a lead in the fourth quarter. Bucks. Fan base isn't panicking, but they're definitely paying attention. Giannis is still the foundation. As long as he's healthy, the Bucks are supposed to be dangerous. But this season's different. Fans know the roster's in transition. Damian Lillard's gone, Miles Turner's in, and that move alone flipped the vibe. There's belief the team can compete, but talk of titles has cooled off. Turner's arrival has sparked interest. Fans expect rim protection, shooting, and someone who fits next to Giannis better than a star guard might. But with his price tag, patience is short. He's got to deliver. Gary Trent Jr. got a modest deal, and fans think he could be sneaky important, spacing the floor, hitting shots, and filling some of that scoring vacuum. Kevin Porter Jr. is more of a wild card. Some fans see upside, others see risk. Either way, he'll get chances. What fans really want is cohesion. No more lopsided lineups or chemistry issues. They're expecting playoffs, maybe a top seed, but not a cakewalk. And if the rotation doesn't click fast, people will be talking. It's a year full of questions, and fans are watching every answer unfold in real time. Cavaliers. The regular season was a dream. 64 wins, top seed in the East, all the momentum. But fans are done celebrating banners that stop in April. The pressure's on to turn dominance into playoff win. There's no rebuilding excuse, no patience for another early exit. This team's supposed to contend right now. Donovan Mitchell's the engine, and fans expect real postseason impact. Big games, big moments, not just scoring, but leadership too. Garland's surgery raised some eyebrows, but if he returns to form, he's still a core piece. His vision, his handle, and his chemistry with Mitchell all have to hit. Mobley's the fan base favorite. He's already got the defense locked down, and this year, they want more offense. Spacing, confidence, a jump. Jared Allen, just keep cleaning the glass and locking down the paint. He's not flashy, but he's crucial. And then there's the depth. Max Strus and the bench need to show up. No more fourth quarter collapses when starters sit. Fans believe the East is winnable, the roster's stacked, and it's time to cash in. If they fall short again, it's not disappointment, it's a problem. The clock's ticking. Clippers, the pressure is fully on. Fans aren't here for cute storylines or moral victories. This roster is built to win now. After back-to-back 50-win seasons, the question isn't if they can compete, it's if they'll finally break through. And this offseason, loaded. Bradley Beal, John Collins, Brook Lopez, all in. Fans are expecting that trio to fix what held them back. Weak offense, lack of depth, and inconsistent scoring outside the stars. Kawhi Leonard's availability is always the elephant in the locker room. When he plays, the team wins. But missed time? That's the nightmare scenario. James Harden is still producing. 22 points, 8 assists last year. But fans want him to be consistent when it matters most. No vanishing acts. Beal's arrival comes with big expectation. Fans want him to hit shots, space the floor, and stay healthy. If he fades again, the noise will get loud. Collins and Lopez, their job is clear. Rebound, defend, and let the stars cook. Fans see a path to the Western Conference Final, but they also see the cliffs. One bad injury, one chemistry misfire, and the whole thing can crack. Rockets. Fans finally feel like the wait might have been worth it. After years of rebuild chatter, they just watched their team win 52 games and grab the second seed. Then came the Kevin Durant trade, and suddenly, it's not just about potential anymore. It's about pressure. Durant changes everything. He's not here for moral victories, and fans know that. They want clutch scoring, leadership, and postseason poise. Sengun is expected to be the perfect partner. Already an all-star, fans now want him to be dominant. Amen Thompson, he's supposed to evolve fast. Less promise, more results. Jabari Smith Jr. still needs to be that switchable two-way guy. Big wings win titles. Fans expect him to prove he's one. Fred VanVleet got the extension and now carries veteran expectations. Control the offense, organize the chaos, lead when Durant's not on. The fan base is excited, but also more demanding. Last season's early playoff exit still stings. This isn't a cute underdog story anymore. It's contender time. If the bench underperforms or chemistry breaks down, fans will notice fast. Houston's not rebuilding anymore. They're all in, and fans expect that to actually mean something this time. Pistons. After years of watching lottery balls bounce around instead of playoff hopes, fans are finally seeing a team that's turning the corner. Last season's 44 wins felt like a breakthrough, and now the fan base expects more. Not in 5 years, but now. Cade Cunningham is at the center of it all. He put up star-level numbers, and fans expect him to level up again. That means no nights off, big moments, and leading like the franchise guy. Jaden Ivey, still a work in progress. There's optimism, but it's mixed with impatience. He's got to improve his shooting and playmaking, fast. Jalen Duren showed real promise last season, and fans now expect dominance inside. He's not just a nice surprise anymore. He's part of the foundation. And the supporting cast, it has to actually support. If the bench drags, fans won't just shrug it off this time. This team's no longer in rebuild limbo. Fans aren't asking for miracles, but they expect progress. The national spotlight's peeking in, and the pressure is shifting. The narrative now, Detroit's supposed to be on the rise, and fans expect them to prove it. Heat. The Butler era's over, and fans are in reset mode, but not surrender mode. Last year's 37 wins didn't impress anyone. And this season, the bar is still not sky high, but it's definitely higher than that. The front office brought in Norman Powell, kept faith in the young core, and now it's on everyone to prove they're more than just culture quotes and hustle clips. Bam is the face now. He's got to lead the defense, hit his mid-range looks, and guide the younger guys. Fans still believe in his versatility, but want more firepower. Tyler Hero, after a career year, the expectations are heavier. This time, it's about proving it wasn't just a hot stretch. Norman Powell's supposed to be the stable vet, not flashy, but consistent. If he gets buckets and stays out of the way, fans will be happy. Meanwhile, Jovic and Jaquez have to actually produce. No more hiding on the bench. It's a bridge year, but fans aren't looking for excuses. They want growth, grit, and progress. Grizzlies. Fans are done being patient. A 48-win season followed by a first-round sweep isn't cutting it anymore. The core's still intact, but the margin for error is shrinking. New coach Tuomas Isalo has pressure from day one, and fans are watching every move closely. Morant remains the heartbeat, but only if he's available. Fans expect him to carry the offense, but they're tired of wondering if he'll miss a third of the year. Jaren Jackson Jr. just got paid and then got injured. Again, when healthy, he's elite on defense, but fans want him more durable, more aggressive, and more consistent. Santi Aldama got a shiny new deal too, and now he has to prove he belongs in a playoff rotation. Stretch the floor, rebound, play smart. That's the job. With Desmond Bane gone, the supporting cast has no choice but to grow up fast. This fan base knows they've got talent, but they also know talent isn't enough. The expectation this year? Make a real run. If the Grizzlies flame out again, the young and rising tag disappears, and fans will start demanding something more permanent. Magic. The fan base has moved past maybe one day, and straight into why not now. Last season's 500 record and quick playoff exit felt like a tease. And now, with the roster healthier and deeper, fans expect real progress. Paolo just signed a massive extension, and fans are treating him like the franchise player he's paid to be. No more passive stretch. It's time for full-on star production. Franz is supposed to be the glue, two-way, efficient, reliable. If he levels up, the team's whole ceiling rises. Jalen Suggs has believers, but also pressure. He's been banged up, but if he stays on the court, fans want him to turn potential into results. Desmond Bane's arrival changed the tone entirely. He's here to shoot, stretch the floor, and let the young core breathe. The rest of the roster, no free passes. Jonathan Isaac, Tristan Da Silva, Jet Howard. Fans are watching to see who steps up. This year, it's not about sneaking into the play-in. The fans expect a leap, not perfection, but legit growth. If the Magic stay stuck, patience will shrink fast. This is supposed to be the start of something. Bulls. The fan base is hanging by a thread of hope and a decent pick. After finishing with 39 wins and 43 losses last season, expectations are not exactly sky high. The roster is mostly locked in, but with a cloud of, what now, still hanging overhead. Fans are itching to see more aggressive moves, and a lot of that noise centers around trading Vooch, whose fit just keeps getting murkier. His deal's not cheap, and it's blocking flexibility fans think they desperately need. Then there's Josh Giddey. The extension tells you everything. He's the guy they're building around. His playmaking, rebounding, and three-point improvement give fans a reason to stay awake. But it's not just about him. Kobe White's entering a pivotal year. He's got to grow into a bigger offensive role and stop being just potential. If he makes that leap, things shift. If not, yikes. Add in rookie Noah Esengia and second-year forward Modest Buzelis. And there's some buzz around youth. But buzz doesn't win games. Fans want progress, not just promise. They're stuck between hoping for a breakthrough and dreading another rerun of a season that ends in mid-April boredom. Pacers. The fans are still buzzing from the finals run, but now they've been hit with a reality check. Losing Tyrese Halliburton for the whole year is brutal. Add in Miles Turner heading out in free agency, and suddenly, the team that just came one game from a title feels a lot thinner. Still, most of the roster's intact, and the expectations didn't just vanish. Fans aren't lowering the bar. They want this team to stay near the top of the East. No backslide allowed. Now the spotlight hits Andrew Nembhard. He's no longer just a young guard. Fans need him to control the tempo and grow into a leader. Aaron Nesmith's stock is rising, especially after big moments in last year's playoff. His role's about to explode. And then there's Pascal. He's not new, but his role as a veteran leader just got a lot heavier. The bench, it matters more than ever. With Halliburton and Turner gone, fans expect the rotation to actually hold up. That means minutes, real production, and fewer excuses. Carlisle's got the reins, and fans want him to steer through the chaos without crashing. The expectations are staying high. Hawks. Fans are pretty much done with the whole play-in routine. After another 40-42 finish, they're expecting a jump, and not a small one. The addition of Kristaps has people talking. He's supposed to bring shooting, rim protection, and some badly needed size. But the real story is how he fits next to Trae Young, who just led the league in assists. If these two click, things get serious. Young's still the guy, and fans want him to prove he can lead them past mediocrity. Not just points and dimes, wins. The kind that matter. Porzingis, meanwhile, needs to stay healthy. If he's on the floor, that three-level scoring becomes a problem for opponents. But fans know they've seen this before. Flashes followed by the sideline. Then there's Dyson Daniels. He's become a defensive machine, winning most improved and leading in steals. Offensively, fans want more consistency. The potential's high and pressure's higher. Role players like Okung Wu and Jalen Johnson need to bring real impact. If depth fails again, fans won't hold back. This year feels different. Less patience, more pressure. It's time to stop building and start delivering. Kings, after finishing 40-42 and missing the playoffs again, fans are hovering between cautious optimism and deja vu. Doug Christie's now the full-time coach, and while he's a familiar face, he's also an untested one. The roster's a mashup of known names and question marks. DeMar, Levine, Sabonis, all big talents, but none exactly lighting up the contender radar. Fans know there's potential, but they're not pretending this is a deep playoff team. What they want is simple. Get better than 40 wins and stop wasting time. Sabonis is still the anchor, and expectations around him haven't changed. He's got to lead on both ends and stay healthy. DeMar is expected to be the calming presence, while Levine's viewed as the scoring swingman who still needs to prove he's not all flash. Keegan Murray's Development matters most. He's young, just got paid, and now has to produce. Then there's the supporting cast. With Schroeder in and Fox gone, fans are looking for depth to actually matter this year. Sacramento fans have waited forever for real progress. Now they want less noise, more wins, and one season that's actually worth remembering. Raptors. Fans are officially over the rebuild excuses. This year's got a different tone. With Brandon Ingram in and Pertol re-signed, the front office clearly expects results. And after moving on from Masai Ujiri, there's no more hiding behind past trophies. The pressure's on. Scotty Barnes is still the face of it all. Fans expect him to lead, shoot better, and stop fading in big moments. He says they'll make a run. Now he's got to back it up. Ingram's supposed to help with that, but fans already know the checklist. Stay healthy, fit in, and deliver. If he doesn't, the trade chatter will go nuclear. Pertol's deal makes him a target. He's got to anchor the defense, clean the glass, and give Barnes space to operate. Any slippage, and fans will start looking at his contract sideways. The rest, RJ Barrett, Quickly, and the rookies, all have to hold up their end. The team needs depth, better rotations, and fewer wasted quarters. Raptors fans aren't begging for a title. They just want proof this group's going somewhere. Play-in's not the goal anymore, it's the baseline. Pelicans fans are beyond tired of the same cycle. This year, expectations are actually real. The roster's been reshaped. CJ McCollum is gone, and Jordan Poole plus Bey are in. They also added 2 top draft picks, Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, who fans hope won't disappear into the bench void like so many before them. Zion Williamson is still the heartbeat, but only if he's actually on the court. He played 30 games last year, 30. Fans expect him to stay healthy, produce like the star he is, and prove this core isn't just a fantasy. If he misses time again, the mood's gonna shift fast. Trey Murphy's got similar pressure. He averaged over 20 a game when healthy, but when healthy keeps being the issue, fans expect him to do more, score, rebound, defend, and become that reliable second option. Poole, he's here to score, but fans want more than streaks. They need him to stabilize this thing. If this team falls apart again, nobody's blaming the West. They're looking at the roster and asking why it never clicks. This year's supposed to answer that. Hornets. After a 19-63 disaster last season, fans are expecting, well, literally anything better. The rebuild isn't over, but there's some movement. LaMelo Ball's health is the top concern. He's missed way too many games. If he can stay on the court, fans expect him to run the show, score, create, and at least keep them in games. But hope alone isn't a strategy. Brandon Miller's got to step up. The flashes were there, but now fans want more than potential. He's expected to become a consistent scoring option and develop into a legit two-way wing. If he floats through another year, the optimism around him might evaporate. Miles Bridges thinks they can make the playoffs. Fans aren't exactly buying it, but they do expect him to bring toughness, leadership, and scoring on the wing. He's got a role, but not a free pass. Trailblazers, fans aren't waiting on miracles, but they are watching for progress. The team's out of full rebuild mode, and the mood's shifted from hopeless to cautiously interested. There's no playoff pressure, but there's definitely expectation. Shaedon Sharpe is supposed to take a real step this year, not just flashes. Fans want consistency, smarter play, and nights where he leads. Scoot Henderson's development is under the microscope too. He's got the keys to be a long-term cornerstone, but fans want to see actual control of the game, not just raw speed and upside. Kamara's become a fan favorite for a reason. He defends, competes, and doesn't take plays off. If he keeps growing, he's one of those glue guys that makes a real difference. The rest of the roster, still a question mark. Denny, Donovan Clingan, and the bench unit all have to show they're more than filler. If this team collapses every time the starters sit, fans will not be subtle about it. This season's not about chasing banners. It's about proving this core is real and worth building around. Nets. The fans know exactly what this season is. A rebuild with training wheels. After last year's 26-56 faceplant, they're not pretending this roster is chasing banners. They're watching with calculators in hand, tracking draft picks, cap space, and player growth like it's stock trading. Development is the currency, not wins. Everyone's eyeballing Cam Thomas. He was dropping about 24 a game before that hamstring said no more. He took a one-year deal, so now fans are squinting to see if he's a building block or just another scorer passing through. Nick Claxton's become the anchor by default. The expectations? Guard the paint, grab boards, and maybe score a little without making the crowd nervous. The rookies are plentiful, thanks to 5 first-round picks, but no one's acting like they just drafted the next league MVP. Culture matters this year. Effort, identity, chemistry. If the Nets look lost again, fans won't stay patient forever. They're fine with losing. just not pointless losing. Show them progress, or expect some noise from Brooklyn. Suns. After last season's 36-46 disappointment, the fan base isn't exactly buying parade confetti in bulk. The franchise dumped Kevin Durant, shifted away from Bradley Beal, and basically admitted the super team thing fizzled. A new coach, Jordan Ott, steps into a locker room still trying to figure out what it wants to be. Devin Booker? He's the anchor now, the one constant fans still believe in. His job is to carry the load while the team reshapes itself around him. Jalen Green's arrival brings some juice, but fans expect more than just energy. They want real chemistry between him and Booker. Dylan Brooks is here too, and if he's not bringing toughness and real defense, fans will notice. The young guys, like Kaman Maluach, are under the microscope. The expectations, growth, minutes, and a move away from depending on worn-out vets. The fans aren't screaming championship. They're demanding signs of life, culture, effort, identity. That's the checklist. The Western Conference is brutal, and with a reshuffled roster, fans aren't betting on 50 wins. But if this team shows direction, they'll get some patience. If not, another flat season might be one too many in Phoenix. Jazz. After finishing 17-65, fans basically watched a basketball version of a controlled demolition. Now, it's about picking up the bricks and figuring out who's worth rebuilding with. Ace Bailey was drafted 5th overall and brings hope, but no one's expecting miracle. Laurie is still the guy, for now. He's got to lead, stay healthy, and not vanish in trade rumors every other week. Walker Kessler's development is a huge barometer. His defense, physicality, and growth around the rim will tell fans whether this young core has teeth or just baby steps. Bailey, everyone's watching. They know there'll be rookie bumps, but they need to see star potential peek through. The rest of the roster, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh, Cody Williams, they can't just blend into the bench. Fans want impact, not filler. The word identity gets tossed around a lot, but it matters. If this team shows fight, smart defense, and player growth, fans can deal with losses. But if it's another mess, the patience dries up fast. Jazz fans aren't asking for playoffs, they're asking for purpose. Wizards. After finishing 18-64, fans basically got a season-long ad for rebuilding. This year, the message is still not yet, but now there's a little more hope with that caution tape. The team added veteran CJ McCollum and drafted Trey Johnson 6th overall to pair with Alex Sarr, who's expected to anchor the front court. Sarr showed promise on defense, and now fans want to see him grow offensively and take more control. Trey Johnson, they're watching every possession. He's not just here to learn, he's expected to flash future star energy right away. CJ isn't just a scorer now, he's the adult in the room. Fans want leadership, not just points. Bub Carrington and the younger guys like Keshawn George are expected to take strides too. This isn't a roster where anyone can disappear. Even the role players matter, because if the bench falls apart, the starters won't develop either. No one's pretending this team's making a playoff run, but the demand is progress. Fewer blowouts, more structure, growth with purpose. Wizards fans are used to rebuilds, but this one better start moving uphill. If it doesn't, expect that patience to snap like a backboard under Shaq. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.